Yeah, do y'all remember anything?
I remember everything.
I now remember everything.
The last thing we didn't we like throw the cube to kind of get out of that hellscape? And then,
Yeah, so y'all are on the edge of
and
this
then Aeglor got
cavern.
munched on.
yeah.
Aeglor got devoured by a hell portal, which is closing as y'all are here right now. So this is the last chance to join Aeglor in the hell portal if one of y'all wanted to go in. The last stop. And there's this spider that had eyes all over its
we're
body.
supposed to level up too, right?
What level?
I'm
We should be level
3.
4.
Okay.
We should be level 4.
Yeah, y'all should be level 4.
Damn it, John.
So we gotta do some
this.
leveling up shit?
Yeah, y'all are level 4.
Should I do that right now?
I think you are already level 4.
should.
Me and Alex are the only ones that aren't level 4.
Yeah, what does it say in D&D
Oh,
Beyond?
I think I did that already. Okay.
Yeah, just go with D&D Beyond has a perfect memory, so just go with that.
Yeah, you may want to adjust your stats in Roll20 though, in case you haven't done that yet. Because at level 4, you probably boosted some of your abilities.
Yeah, probably did.
Yurt.
Good call.
All right, I gotta get some music going.
And you may also not have. You probably also have some new spells.
I think so.
Although your spell layout would be identical to what it was because we're still in the middle of combat.
Okay.
It's not like a Pokemon move for clerics where they just like randomly learned Fire Blast.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like after this ordeal is over.
I never thought about that.
So like,
Pokemon.
I'll say like in the middle of it, you'll get some skill increases. But as far as like you just a spell popping into your head, that's not gonna work. Because I mean, the way leveling up works is like you're steadily getting to it. It's not like it's just like one day it's like ping. The idea is you're gaining experience all the time, and then at a certain point, there has to be some point where you like actually the number turns. But so the skills are there, but the spells will be the same as they were.
Okay, I can use my Battle Master stuff though?
Yeah, I'd say so. Something you'd be working out. You'd been working on since the Gilvarneck fight, and everything's been kind of a swirl since then. It's been like about a day since that, but like 4 months in like real life time.
All right. Well,
what's up?
Alex is in here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm set up. Let me set the stage. Everybody's ready. Is everybody like? I guess Sirocco, are you leveled up? Are you level 4? Don't say no.
Yes.
I know the answer is no.
Well, I was gonna switch anyway, so I'm gonna roll with it.
I would say you wouldn't be able to switch subclasses because we're still in combat.
Well, no. I mean, I'm not gonna. Yeah, just don't worry about it. I'll figure it.
Okay. You can like be leveling up, but like we're gonna be.
Okay.
So let me set the stage. All right. So the last thing that happened, if y'all didn't read the summary, I'll just go back to y'all were thrown into this cavern from Fallholt, from the Red Scar Keep, and then y'all appeared above this pool of water where this aboleth told you a story, to put it simply, and then y'all found yourselves falling into the pool and surrounded by various cavernous abominations that proceeded to attack you. And there was the dark elf guy that was singing that kind of led you into the portal from the Red Scar Keep. Was also here, and he like cast some like darkness spell that Darian was in for a bit, and then more creatures came out of it. So basically, y'all fought them for a while, were able to slay a lot of the beasts, but then they kind of overwhelmed you. I think Croonan remembered he had this cube that Faye had given y'all to help get out of tough spots. So you threw it down, and you're transported like somewhere else within the cavern. And I know this like looks like it's. I mean, y'all aren't sure how far you got transported away. Like the way this map looks, I'm gonna say this darkness is like longer than it looks. So y'all are further back in the cavern. Now you're out in front of this opening where this kind of like opens out, and y'all are well above sea level. You're looking out, and like you can almost see clouds just above you. So you're pretty high. Looks like you're in a mountain. Waterfall out. The spider came down. and opened up eyes all over its body and devoured, or a portal opened, Agalor got sucked in, all that's left is his sword. That cutscene is over, and y'all are now at the mouth of this cavern with this waterfall, and this spider has just released itself from its web and has landed in the pool right next to you and is staring you down. All the eyes on its body have closed, but I mean, it's like the size of a giant spider, if not bigger, and it's kind of in y'all's midst. And these bodies here are just like dead things that you transported with you whenever the cube transported. And you can hear behind you kind of like the scurrying of various beasts in the darkness back the way you came, presumably. You were transported here, so you didn't actually travel this distance, but it's back further in the cavern. You can hear things approaching. So we're just dropped into the middle of combat, and I'm going to use... I would say we can roll new initiative. I think, Soraka, you're going to be going first. So.
Okay.
He's like kind of off center right now, John.
Yeah.
I'm going to think there's any other housekeep. Oh, one thing you noticed, maybe in this moment, it happened earlier, but you didn't really take into account because you weren't actually like able to deal the final blow on the vampire in the Red Scar Keep. It was Darian that picked up your sword and did it, but you got to attack it at least a couple times. And You noticed that Olivar, your sword, kind of sentient, imparted to you that this was like the work it was created for, and it's like super amped up and bloodthirsty at killing that vampire. And it regained some of its recalled more of its life, and it started to you understood that it is now, I mean, the sword seems to think that it had a life before and it was like a humanoid, and it's been put into this sword. It realized that as it got to kill this undead abomination. And you now understand that you can activate something new with this sword. So once per short rest, you can choose to strike with more gusto, and you can imbue your own life force into your next swing. So once per short rest, you can gain advantage on your next roll, but then also until your next turn, any damage dealt to you is increased by 1d6. So basically, you can make yourself a little bit more vulnerable to make sure you hit once per short rest. So I'm gonna put that in the chat. So that's something you now realize as your sword's back in hand. You've been using it for a bit. Let's say a Bactus told you that. That's canon. I have him selected for some reason. All right, yeah. So Soraka, you're going first.
That to my...
The only other thing I had in housekeeping was I had it written. Determine who is holding the crow figurine. Because I don't know who is. So we can roll for that unless somebody has a good reason for why you'd be holding it. The crow figurine is something you got from Xavier's garage. Soraka, it's your turn now.
If I don't care, I'll take it. I haven't had any other items of importance in terms of the story, but it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Yeah, so that figurine, whenever it got identified, you know that it's it's a figurine that houses an astral animal that you can summon at will using the figurine, and it presumably would be a crow because it's a crow figurine. But you haven't.
I was going to get cursed. I wanted to get cursed.
No, you're probably about to be cursed as soon as you use it. Don't worry.
Okay. I'm gonna use my action to throw it on the staff of Python.
Okay.
And then I don't know where that goes. It says it acts under its own initiative. Do we just put it at the end of the initiative order, or do I always control
you roll
it after
initiative for it. Where are you going to throw it?
Yeah, I'll just put it to the side within range, but not necessarily within melee.
All right.
You can go, and then I'll figure out I'll pull up its stats and everything, abilities.
Okay, Darian, it's your turn. I mean, unless this thing rolled an initiative that's higher than Darian, it would go.
No, I mean
it might.
I'll just roll a regular.
Does it not act on Soraka's initiative?
You just said it rolls its own initiative.
Okay.
No.
Okay, I'll put it in the initiative order.
Do I gain HP equal to the HP that I gained when I leveled up? Or no?
I'd say no.
Okay.
So y'all are kind of realizing the way we'll RP that is y'all are leveling up in the middle of this combat. Y'all are kind of realizing after dealing with kind of a roller coaster of danger for the last 24 hours that y'all are going to have to rise to the occasion to fucking survive this. So y'all are feeling empowered in that way, so your skills and stuff are boosted with this level up. But You're not going to just magically heal or magically learn a spell.
Okay. Can I do a nature check on Hell Spider? I don't remember what all you told us about it.
Yep. So it's about the size of a giant spider. It's like red and black skin, and it had, whenever it came down from like the ceiling, which again, another thing to note to mention is all along this cavern, there's like hundreds of spiders just crawling on the ceiling, like right next to each other, just like the ceiling is cut. You can't even see the cavern above. And this spider presumably came down from the ceiling. Y'all saw that whenever y'all are above the Aboleth pool, but this spider presumably came down from what y'all saw come down the ceiling, and just kind of like stood there, and it transfixed kind of everyone. And Agalor was the one leading the way. He was trying to get everybody out, and then it kind of stopped him in his tracks, and its eyes opened. And I mean, you're not exactly sure what happened, but there was definitely some magical and portal work, and Agalor got sucked into it. And all that's left is his sword is kind of stuck on this little island that y'all are on. And the water next to you is like, goes up to like your shins. It's not that deep.
And the box was just the box that we were getting transported in?
Yeah, that's just showing the surface area that y'all got transported in, which I guess the cube would now like kind of like wouldn't be presenting that light anymore around y'all, so that wouldn't be there anymore.
Okay. I'll move forward. For my action, I will drink my greater health potion. Let me find what it was. Yeah, potion of greater healing. That's 4d4 plus 4.
Okay. Whenever you enter that space, roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Get out of here.
So wow. So you feel like some like almost like screaming in your head, like mental, like you felt probably mental attacks before, like psychic attacks, and you feel like this screaming in your head, and you're just maybe after, for whatever reason, you feel resolved, and it does not affect you. So you step in as soon you notice it as soon as you step into this circle next to the spider. You felt that, and you were able to resist it.
Is changing weapons a bonus action as well?
So you're asking if you can take a potion and change weapons in the same turn? I would say yes, unless you're going to do something else with your bonus action. Are you saying like you want to do something else in addition to that?
Yes.
Okay, what?
I guess a potion is a potion a standard action, or is it a bonus action?
Potion.
I think it's standard because it's like using an
normally
item.
a standard action. It depends. I would say it depends on what type of potion it is. If it's like a healing potion, then it's an action.
Yeah.
I thought we had been.
Then only have
bonus action.
one bonus action.
I think if you're not dual wielding, if you have a free hand,
he's got a shield.
I would say that we could maybe work with that. But I think my understanding is if it's a healing
is
potion,
what I'm asking.
You can take a potion and change weapons. Yes, I said that. But you were indicating you want to do something else also.
I want to do one more thing.
Okay, tell me what else you want to do.
When I cast Hunter's Mark on the
No, you
spider,
cannot do all of those things in one turn.
I will switch to my quarterstaff.
Even though you knew Hunter's Mark.
John's a ranger now?
Yeah. Paladins can learn that? Oh, that's fine.
Oath of Vengeance paladins know it.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to say you're going to have to choose 2 out of 3 there.
I will Hunter's Mark. Sorry, I'll move up, switch weapons, and drink a potion.
Okay.
So I'm going to switch to my quarterstaff and then drink a potion.
Switching your quarterstaff. So you're putting away your shield and your sword and taking out your quarterstaff.
Is quarterstaff two-handed or one-handed?
Quarterstaff would be two-handed.
Uh,
Unless you have like a billy bat, I'd say it's two-handed. Quarterstaff normal is two-handed. I didn't even know you had a quarterstaff. You have a quarterstaff and you know Hunter's Mark. Darian's pulling out some tricks.
I had a quarterstaff day one. You're just like.
I mean, I didn't know that. You've never used it. That's why.
Yeah.
But you're just Agalor now. You're a ranger druid.
Yeah.
You gonna cast Call Lightning now?
All right. So you done? All right.
Yeah. Oh, I'll roll the
All right. So you heal 12. All right.
Potion of healing's 4d4.
greater.
Greater one.
Oh damn, you got a greater.
All right. This thing is going to turn. I'm seeing you're the closest. It's going to strike at you. 21 to hit.
Yep.
All right. So you take 11 damage and roll me another wisdom saving throw. So as this thing bites into you or like accosts you with its legs and gets its fangs on you, you feel a very similar feeling that you just felt in your mind whenever you entered its space. And you're going to take that. Whew, another 14.
Holy shit! All right, I go down.
Oh shit.
So yeah, you feel like this, like the fangs are one thing, and then this psychic blast in your mind just knocks you out.
See you, boys.
Malice, it's your turn.
That's not good. Okay, I am going to use my bonus action to cast Healing Word and sing my sweet boy Darian a song to try to bring him back to life.
Okay. So roll me that healing.
I cast it. I cast it first level. Woo!
All right. So Darian, you get fanged, and then you get this psychic blast in your head, and you just get knocked back into the water, and then almost immediately, like Malice, quick on his feet, says the words, and you're like, oh, and you come back. You're like, I don't know what reference this would be, but you're just you were gone and then back immediately.
All right.
And I am.
Thank you. It's a free action.
I give you a firm nod, but I am really fucking angry at this thing now. So I'm gonna move over here. So I'm gonna take this path.
Yep.
And make. Do I have to make a wisdom saving throw?
Yep. As you enter space, you feel similar, and you are gonna take. You take 9 psychic.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to.
You hear the screams in your head, and it does not sound good.
Yeah, I am going to swing with Olivar.
Yep. So
And
you
I
have
have
advantage.
advantage, right?
This is flanking.
Okay.
Yep.
So. God damn it! Really?
That is a hit narrowly.
Nice.
All right, 9. That does solid damage as you bring your sword across its backside abdomen area, and that definitely rips into it.
Okay. And I'm done.
All right, it'd be your turn, Kernan.
So if I was observing people, who looks the most fucked up?
Roll me. I'd say roll me a perception.
Darian's pretty.
But you can definitely tell Darian is probably just by default. Like your passive perception would tell you Darian.
Yeah.
I look really bad.
Yeah, and then you kind of scan across and you see Malice after he just entered. Like you can see him kind of like his knees are shaking, and he's pretty much on pure adrenaline as well.
Okay.
You saw Darian just go down, but Malice is also in really bad shape.
Sorry, I just got room service. I'm gonna grab it real fast.
Okay.
Oh shit! Weird. No.
Well, this hurts to do. I'm about to delete Agalor's token. His body is not there.
No!
Bring him in as a ghost every now and then. That helps us.
There's things in store for
Like
you.
Harry Potter's
He's
parents.
gonna come back like super grizzled once Alejandro finishes school. He's gonna have like one eye, just fucking be like some kind of like level 20 hero. I'm at a really intense part of Critical Role right now. It's good as shit.
I keep trying to like compare it to Adventure Zone. I mean, they're just really different, but
They're not. They're completely different.
I feel like as a whole, I feel like I enjoy Critical Role more, just because of the like D&D part of it. It's more like D&D, and the story's super good. But
yeah,
I get kind of annoyed with some of the characters, though.
All right, I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna do an inflict wounds.
Ooh, that's a nice one. So as soon as you enter space, roll me a wisdom.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, you hear the screams of unknown
Freaking
patrons, and you're able to fight it off, resolving to help your bros.
Sweet. All right, I'm gonna try to fuck this thing up.
Inflict wounds. So is that an attack roll on your part?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it as level 2.
Yeah. Oh.
Shit.
Holy shit.
Wait, does he have advantage? I don't know
On
how that works.
spells, right?
Well, it's a melee spell, right? So
Yeah, it's a
involves,
melee
touching
spell.
it. So I don't know how it works, though.
I don't think. I mean, he doesn't have advantage because this thing can just turn and face him without having to worry about something on the other side of it. There's no enemy on the other side over here.
I thought you just had to be able to draw a line from like.
I would say that's not actually through it. This thing is pretty big, but that's not advantage.
Okay.
Okay, so 9 is the roll. That has a fuckload of damage. Oh man. So that once again, I'm gonna use the same thing I used last time. This thing, you hit it with this inflict wounds, but it just absorbs all of it into its spider liver. So yeah, it you see it like it is able to fin that spell off.
I went for the home run ball.
You knew that is definitely a home run ball.
I'm 0 for 2 with this.
So it's your snake's turn now, Sirocco, and like as this is happening, y'all hear the sounds in the cavern behind y'all, the movement of various things coming. It's much closer now. So now it's your snake's turn.
Okay.
What can this guy
Snake's
do?
gonna use constrict.
Okay, so you're gonna move it into space, I guess.
Yep.
All right. What is its wisdom modifier? What is its that's gonna hit if it can survive this? What is it? This is which type of snake is this again? I'm gonna look it up real quick. I don't have
It's a
the stats
giant
yet.
constrictor. Constrict is
There's something called
melee weapon
fire
attack
snake.
+6
I
to
should've
hit.
put the fire snake.
I want a fire snake.
Okay,
Hit
constrictor
is-
snake. So it gets +0 to wisdom. What else does this thing have?
60.
All right.
What the fuck?
It has
That's
13 on D&D Beyond. What I'm looking at.
On 5e, I just googled it. It's on roll 20. It says giant constrictor snake has 8d12 +8 or 60 on average.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm
Is
just
that-
looking at a normal constrictor snake. Send me the link to that.
8d12.
Well,
That
it's gonna
icon
take-
gives you a giant
It's going
constrictor.
to take 7 damage. So from
And
You
entering
might, that
space.
might be a high level monster than what you're.
I mean-
the sap says giant constrictor snake.
Yeah, as long as it says that on the item, then yeah.
Damn. Yeah, no, he's right.
I mean, but when it dies, it's gone forever. So it's like
Oh, okay. I see.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, the
Darian's gonna
staff
give his
gets
shield to
destroyed
the
also.
snake.
Okay. So yeah, it. So what do I need to roll for this?
Snake is by far our strongest.
You
predator.
roll
Yeah.
so it's
Darian feels a little like,
2d8
embarrassed.
+4 bludgeoning, and then the
2d8.
target is grappled. Escape DC is 16.
Okay, that's solid damage in its own right. So that does it like kind of wraps its snake form around this spider. They're kind of beasts that can match each other. Does solid damage with the constrict, and then the target is grappled. Snake can't
Escape
constrict
is
anything
16
else.
DC.
Okay. Yeah. So this snake is constricted. It is restrained until it can
Nice.
go against this grapple. So then it'd be your turn, Sirocco, and you can kind of hear the thing is coming from the cavern in the darkness behind you. If you wanted to roll me a perception,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
could get a better measure of how far away.
Okay.
They seem like they're definitely closer and getting nearer, but it seems like the echoes of the cavern, you can't really tell how far away they are. They sound really close, but it could just be the echoes.
Okay.
This is constricting. So this thing is restrained. So restrained means, and this is something you maybe know as you did research on snakes and constrictors and stuff. Restrained means it can't. Restrained. Speed becomes 0. Can't benefit for bonuses to speed. Attacks against have advantage. The creature's attack rolls have disadvantage. And it has disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. So it's all pretty
Nice.
standard. So it's easier to hit. Can't
Okay.
dodge as well. Can't
Okay.
move
I'm
also.
gonna attack it with my spear.
All right, where are you moving into position? Because that matters.
Yeah. I'm gonna move
I guess it doesn't matter because it's restrained. So even if you
I'm gonna
didn't
move
have flanking.
here.
Okay. So you have flanking and it's restrained. So you can get advantage on this, but as soon as you enter the space, roll me a wisdom saving throw.
A whizzy. Okay.
Alright, you take 8 psychic damage as you enter this square and you hear the screams. And then roll me an attack with advantage.
I get +5.
Okay,
18.
18 to hit is a hit.
Okay. So D6 +3. 8.
So you stab it, like your snake's kind of restraining it, you stab it right in the eye, and it's still alive, but like there's not a lot left. There's not a lot of movement in most of its limbs.
Okay.
That is almost put it down.
Okay. I'll use an unarmed strike.
Yep.
My free attack.
Roll that with advantage as well.
16.
That's a hit.
Okay. And that's a 4.
This is almost no matter what going to be a tell me how you want to do this.
4.
Yep. That's a grawl, baby.
That's an unarmed strike growl against a big old spider.
Damn.
Yeah.
I want to just like tomato soup can with a hammer, just like with my palm, just explode his little head or his big head, crush it in.
Okay. Yep. So you bring your fist down, you hammer it across its eye, which had already been exploded by the spear, and the rest of its face just kind of turns into a puddle, and its body goes limp, and the snake kind of releases from its constrict, knowing its prey is gone, and it is perished.
I absorb some of its life force with Way of the Long Death.
Okay.
I gain 7.
Are we out of initiative?
Yes. And y'all can all hear the sounds getting closer and closer from the darkness, and the snake's body, if no one restrained it, y'all could, but it would start to, I mean, not the snake, the spider's body would start to like it would go limp in the water and start to just float away.
I'm not paying attention to that. I'm gonna run over to Aglor's sword.
Can I rip off one of its like pincers?
Yep. I wouldn't make you roll for that because it's kind of moving slow and it'd be easy to grab with your snake
Okay.
on top of it still. So you could harvest whatever you wanted from this giant
Yep. I
weird
want
spider.
to take one of its pincers and then I'll use my bonus to turn the snake back into a staff.
Okay. Snake's back in your possession. This thing goes over the edge of the waterfall. So what are y'all doing?
I'm grabbing Yegor's sword and
Okay.
like frantically trying to like hope that the magic's gonna break. And I'm like kind of on the ground. I'm like on the ground and just like wailing in the air, like bring him back, you piece of shit! And I like have a sword in my hand. I'm like just trying to like I don't know. I'm like coping, and I don't know what to do, and I'm upset that my friend's dead.
Okay. Yeah, so you pick up his sword. It's
Supposedly.
kind of just shoved into the ground. That was like Agelor's kind of last-ditch effort to prevent himself from getting sucked into the portal, and it was to no avail, and his sword is, from what y'all can tell, the only thing that's left of Agelor's presence. So you take his sword, you're waving it around the air where he disappeared, and yeah. Okay. What is everybody else doing?
Darian's trying to. Darian's still feeling pretty bad. He's kind of down, like on one knee. He's like glad that we finished the fight, but feeling pretty distraught. Both because he just got hit really fucking hard, and Agelor's gone.
Are there still like monster sounds behind us? Are they getting closer?
Yeah, pretty consistently getting closer. Still not in sight from the darkness. It's night outside, so like there's not
We
a lot of
outside?
yeah. So like this waterfall opening leads to like outside, so y'all can see out. You
Okay.
can see kind of like a forest below you, and just like mountains kind of winding around to your right. And like I said, you can see like clouds kind of not that high off your position, so it seems like you're pretty high up. I mean, this is a waterfall leading down into what looks like a small river, pond, lake. You can't really tell from the distance. It kind of like, you know how waterfalls end.
Do the rocks in the waterfall look like a mouth to me, to Darian?
Yeah, I mean, I guess with the stones like that, it looks like it could be, yeah, teeth. It's kind of like there's stones dispersed over the edge of the waterfall like that.
And there's no way like forward in this cavern outside of this waterfall.
What do you mean? Like
Like there's no other like exits or pathways that are readily apparent to us.
no, not like this direction. No, it's just kind of like one way it leads out into the lip of this waterfall.
Okay, Malice is gonna get up and say, "We need to get out of here." And like I guess I'm gonna put Agelor's sword like in my stuff for safekeeping for now. And is the water also like shin deep? I'm gonna walk over here,
Yeah.
like towards the edge of the waterfall.
Yep.
Am I in danger of falling off?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean it's like shin deep, and it just kind of goes off, and like after those stones, that's where it drops off
Okay.
completely.
So like where can I see anything down below? Like how far is it?
Yeah, so it's like it's kind of like a forest surrounding. You can see like the tops of the trees. I don't know, like 30 to 50 feet below you, and it kind of like the water exits into a small like outlet that looks like a lake or a small pond, and it's kind of like a stream going beyond that, or maybe leaking into a river. This doesn't look like the River Song, which you know is the river that y'all were tracking Gilvarneck up towards Fallhold through, or kind of try to intercept him. And then that's where you know that, I mean, you knew it was the River Song because you grew up here, Malice, but like, you know that that's where, whenever y'all all went your separate ways, y'all went to Red Scar Keep, Faye went to Fallon's the mayor's mansion, and then Raphael went across the River Song to go into the woods nearby to like try to find any evidence of, I guess, Red Scar tracks or other evidence. So you know that the River Song was nearby where you were, but you've now been transported into some mountainous cavern. You're not really sure where, but you do see a forest below you, and you're like, looks like you're in a mountain range.
Okay, I'm gonna turn back to the party and say, I think I have a way for us to get down here. And I pull out my grappling hook.
Okay. Yeah.
And
your new purchase.
yeah, and I'm not gonna like use it to launch or anything, but can I use it as like a basic grappling hook and rope?
Well, the way this thing
Or do I need to
works,
Batman it?
It's kind of, it
Doesn't
has
someone
like,
have that like magic rod thing?
I do, but
this grappling hook kind of has like the rope stored up in it, and it kind of launches out. So it's like it's basically like you pull a trigger and do this. It's like a gun, Batman gun. And I mean, you could try to figure out how to get the rope out of it, but that's not, it's not like how it works.
Okay, I'm gonna walk back and kind of shoot it at the wall.
Okay. So whenever you shoot it out, I gotta look at the rules for this.
oh shit! Wait, I also have rope of climbing. I forgot about that.
Isn't that the rope that tried to kill you?
No, it tried to kill someone.
Oh, okay.
I tried to restrain someone and it tried to hang the guy.
So I would say at this point, Yeah, so I'm just gonna say like you shoot this out and like the grappling hook kind of like goes into the wall, and like sticks there pretty held fast, and it seems to work as intended, because I mean the stone is kind of like weak, goes into it rather easily. At this point though, y'all would see kind of like in just at the lip of the darkness where y'all can't see much further. I can't remember who saw this. I think it was definitely Mallows saw this. I think Agalor saw it as well. Maybe no one else. Y'all, I guess when Agalor and Mallows were trying to... Agalor was pretty weak because he had gotten attacked by a spider and Mallows was helping him along. Around the pool, y'all were trying to get to the other people, which were already on the other side of the pool. Y'all saw in the corner above you, maybe Kreenan saw this earlier also, there was a creature that looked like... Y'all were fighting Nothics, which are these one-eyed little, like, halfling-sized creatures that... whenever they stared at you, it kind of like started to sear your skin, and they were pretty terrifying. They weren't easy to kill either, and they were that's kind of like the denizens that were pouring out of the portal or the darkness that the Dark Elf cast. Y'all saw like what looked like a larger version of a Nothic. It was this like larger creature that had all four of its limbs on the cavern behind it. A huge eye, like long frizzy hair, maybe like horns you couldn't really see in the darkness, and it was just kind of up above you, on the wall, just attached to it, staring down at you, and like you saw its eye moving throughout the battle, and it was looking at you. And at this point, y'all would see this same creature, presumably, or something that looks exactly like it, walk out, like kind of at the edge of the darkness back here, and then soon behind it, you see just like a ton more Nothics, just like in a wave behind it, and it's just standing there, and it's just its huge eyes looking at y'all, and these things start to approach.
Okay, Malice yells, "Time to go! Time to go!"
We gotta go.
And I start repelling down the waterfall.
Okay.
I'm in on that rope after.
I want to take out my my rod, the immovable rod,
Okay.
just to have it in my hand. But I also want to start like climbing down.
Okay. Kreenan, roll me a Constitution saving throw as you feel a similar searing pain on your back as you turn to move.
Not great.
All right, so you take 13 necrotic damage as you feel like
13.
your body start to just cave in under the weight of... Presumably, you can't tell. I mean, your back's turned. I guess you'd be running away unless you said you wanted to be facing them. But I was assuming all of you are moving, so you don't know really what's doing this. But I think you felt something similar from the Nothics whenever y'all were fighting them in the... Okay, so y'all are going to try to repel. So, like, what is everybody doing? So Malice is using his grappling hook. Darian's using his rope. Kreenan and Sirocco, what do y'all...
Rope.
I
rope as
would
well?
have shouted, "Follow me down the rope."
Yeah, I'm whatever rope's free for me to hop on, I'm hopping on.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sliding.
I would
And
say...
I'm also like stumbling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as you
fuck
just
that.
got hit in the back with that. So yeah, as these things are approaching, y'all are kind of like struggling. I guess are y'all going to go down, going to try to like go down the, I guess, which side of the waterfall, or like how exactly are y'all going to do this?
I guess I'm guessing I'm going down this side because I shot it into this wall over here.
Okay.
Yeah, I would kind of look for whatever rock looked like just visually which one would be the best to like tie a rope around before I'm like going down.
Okay.
And then I would go down. I mean, I don't know if visually if these rocks are, I guess, canon, but I would find one that was like...
The rocks are visually canon.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to describe each individual rock so I know which
The rocks
one
are visually
Aaron would want
canon.
to. Okay.
I would say you'd have time to... I mean, this is all happening pretty fast, so y'all are going to try to get this done in under the heat of the moment. So I'm going to have y'all roll like perceptions to see like where you're going to fix your grappling hook / your rope, and then we're going to roll some athletics checks to see how well you can handle like going down, and that's basically how we're going to resolve this. So y'all can roll me perceptions to see like, let's say intelligence, to see how well you can like understand where it would be best to put this in the heat of the moment. And I guess Sirocco and Kreenan, how are y'all? Which rope are you choosing?
Not safe, but
I mean, I'd already shot mine into a wall.
Oh, so you shot yours like into the wall that you shot it at? I thought you were just trying it out. So you shot it there with the intention of repelling.
Once I saw it stick, yeah, I was like, okay, let's fucking go.
Okay.
Sorry if that wasn't clear.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that that's what your intention was. But yeah, okay. So you shot in that wall, and you're gonna use that to repel. And then Darian, you're kind of like tying it on one of these like tooth cannon rocks, as you're gonna try to repel down that way. And then Kreenan and Sirocco, which way? What are y'all gonna do? You're gonna get on one of the ropes. So which one? And then
I was
Um,
following Malice because he had his shit together.
Yep.
yeah. So Darren, you kind of just like you tell the rope of climbing. It's like get on one of the rocks. Let's go.
Yeah,
And you don't
that-
really like put a lot of thought into it, obviously. So Krunan, you're going with Malice. Sirocco, you're doing. Whoa! Someone just got blended.
That was a horrific sound.
Sorry.
The spider at the bottom of the well, or at the bottom of the waterfall getting in a blender.
Sirocco, what are you doing?
I'm following Moss. Same thing.
So y'all going on Malice's? All right.
Yep.
So Darian will resolve yours first. Yeah, I want you to roll me as you try to like rappel down. The water's in your face. I mean, the water's not necessarily, this waterfall's not necessarily calm. Just roll me in athletics to try to like hold on with your armor and everything as the water just like drenches you as you try to go down this. Okay. So you start to rappel down, and then Malice starts to rappel down, and then Krunan and Sirocco are also gonna follow. So all of y'all roll athletics check.
Malice is wrong.
Unloaded at.
Okay, Malice, you've
How
never used this
possible?
grappling hook before, right?
Nope, this is the first time.
Fresh out the box. Oh, Sirocco, is that your... Okay, so now everybody's rolled. So here's how this is going to happen. Sirocco, first roll me a Constitution saving throws. You're kind of like the last one to get there, and you feel the searing pain on your back because these things are also chasing you, and they're pretty fast. Okay, so you're going to take... You only take
Gosh, you gotta get your
5.
shit in the fucking character sheet.
You take 5. You take 5 necrotic damage as like you're like the last one to get out, and like if you turned back, you're like fuck. You see just even more Nothics than I currently have on the screen, kind of covering the full surface area of this cavern and splashing in the water. Their red eyes are all staring at you, unblinking. The giant one is kind of slowly walking, almost like the Night King with all the shit around him. And it's like that's kind of the last thing you see is this giant Nothic-looking creature kind of staring at you with its hands out as you start to rappel down the rope alongside Malice and Krunan, who are below you in the waterfall. So what happens is, Darian, you, with that roll, you're able to like hold on tight. You're getting drenched by the water. You're rappelling down, and you get to a point to where you get to the end of the rope, and you're like not that far away from just being able to like jump into the water. So I mean, you could do whatever you want, but like you would be able to just like fall into the water. And I mean, with your heavy armor, I'd probably make you another athletics check to like swim out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happens to you. You're not sure what happens with Malice, Sirocco, and Krunan because you kind of went first and you were able to kind of climb down faster. Malice kind of leading the charge here, and he didn't get that good of a... He's not that strong. I mean, he's pretty weak right now. So is Krunan, even though Krunan's kind of adrenaline's flowing. Sirocco's just bringing up the rear. But kind of like as Sirocco gets on and all three of y'all's like weight now gets on this grappling hook, y'all don't get that far. Malice is still pretty high up on the waterfall as he's like rappelling down, and he's giving more and more like slack, I guess, through the grappling hook. And again, you don't know how much rope is in this. I mean, it's a reasonable amount, but like a grappling hook isn't the same as like climbing rope. So it kind of like stops. You can't go down much further. And then as soon as like Sirocco gets on, you feel it just release, and all the weight comes down, and all of y'all fall down the waterfall. So I'd guess I'd roll first, and then I'll tell you what y'all need to roll if you're still conscious. So Malice and Krunan, y'all take 9 and 11 damage as you hit the water, and Sirocco, you take 15 damage as you're kind of
Wait,
from
as
the
we hit
highest.
the water?
Yeah.
Krunan's done.
Wait, you said it was only like 50 feet and it had surface tension broken. Is it shallow?
Well, yeah, it's not. It's like as y'all get closer, you see it's kind of not a lake. It's not that deep. It looks like it's just like releasing into like kind of like a pond area that goes into a creek. So y'all
Okay, so we just
hit the water and you hit a lot of ground.
I'm gonna use as a reaction slow fall,
Okay.
which reduces any falling damage I take by 20.
Okay, so you are able to. I would say so the water is like kind of right next to the edge of this the mountain, I guess, kind of, and you're able to like hit your feet against the mountain to slow your fall. As you hit the water, you kind of go into a roll immediately on instinct, and you're able to avoid all of this. And Darian,
I am unconscious.
Darian, you can roll me a athletics check as you kind of like
Okay.
dive into the water from relatively safe distance.
Yeah, I'm gonna speak the command of the rope to untie, and then I'm gonna just fall into the water with it, while still holding on.
Okay.
Roll athletics.
Yeah, just athletics to see how well you can handle this. Okay. Ooh. Yep. So you're all right. So Sirocco and Malice and Krunan, their bodies kind of float, unconscious bodies float kind of ashore.
Well, Sirocco's not unconscious, right? It's just me and Krunan.
Krunan and Malice is what I meant to say if I
Yep.
said Sirocco. So y'all find yourselves on the shore. And I guess, like, what would y'all do in the meantime while I...
So, am I gonna have to, like, pull people out of the water if they're unconscious?
I don't know, John.
I'm not pulling myself out, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan was saying it like we were already all on shore for free, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's nice. No, but I'm definitely gonna help get the party members out if I see they're floating, like, upside down. So Sirocco and I are fine, but Malice and Krunan are down? Okay. Do I need to roll anything to get them both out of the water?
No. I would say if y'all work together, it wouldn't be that hard of a thing to do.
Okay. I'm assuming Sirocco's gonna help, but I don't want to assume. Okay.
So as y'all kind of like collecting yourselves, y'all would have some time to take some actions, do whatever you needed to do, but I'm going to have y'all roll perception checks after that. So what do y'all, I guess y'all are trying to like get them to retain their consciousness.
Yeah, I can do lay on hands on both of them.
Okay. So what does that do? That just gets them back to consciousness for free.
Yeah, it's just I heal them. So I could just heal them for, I don't know, let's say 5 HP each.
Okay. Y'all can add that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Holy shit, I'm alive.
I love the role playing. That's so good. Yeah. My
rope that grappling hook had.
when I was doing
Also,
my
a terrible choice. You should have gone down Darren's rope.
yeah, my thing could hold 3,000 pounds, but I think we were all on a rush. I mean, to be fair, I think we all wanted the Batman, so I understand the temptation. Yeah, I was definitely
that
like
was just my
doing
first time using the grappling hook.
I was definitely
so
doing like
sorry about that.
CPR with like my healing hands, and that's what like brought them back. And that's when like Malice spit the water out. I want that to be canon. Darian was a lifeguard.
Thanks for the assist, Darian.
It's quick thinking with the grappling hook.
Yeah, quick dumb thinking.
Well, I don't think it was smart
My
for
bad,
everyone to
Cam.
jump on the rope. But,
almost killed me and Krunan.
yeah. What the fuck happened to Agalor?
I don't know about you guys, but what the fuck was... This is the second time Faye sent us into some bullshit. What the fuck is going on? We were in a fucking tavern, we get teleported to some telepathic fish that says a bunch of bullshit to us, and then we're attacked by who God knows what, and Agalor gets sent to fucking hell? What? I don't even know where the fuck we are. This isn't the River's Song. We're not even near Fallhold.
Yeah, Dylan, you said roll perception. Like, can we do a perception roll to see like if we're familiar with this area?
To see if you're familiar with the area, I would say you could do like a nature check because you could really see the woods around you.
Aaron's rolling hot tonight.
So based on
No, this is not.
a combination of whenever you looked out, and this is a mountain range you saw, this is a forest now, you're looking around. Darren, you're familiar that those look like the Bashuk Mountains, or the,
Yes.
yeah, and that's like the mountain range you're near, and then the forest is the forest below that, but you're not sure of the name, because it's not actually marked on a lot of maps.
Bashik. Is that how you spell it?
I believe so. Let me make sure. And then everybody could roll perception.
There we go. Kyle, I don't know if you've been talking, but I think you might be on mute.
Yeah, it was me.
Lay that lore on us. What did you were screaming at the void that no one heard?
I don't know. I've just seen a lot of shit today. It's been a rough day. Kernan's kind of introspective right now.
What's up with this perception check, Dylan?
Yep. Sorry, just pulling something up. So, Sirocco and Malos. I'd say Sirocco, since like you were kind of the last one down, maybe you like took a glance up at the like mouth of the waterfall. You look up and you see like the same like little Nothics. There's like a bunch of eyes peeking over the edge, staring down at y'all that high up, and they all kind of just like disappear one by one. So you kind of see that, and then y'all, Malos and Sirocco, if you both looked around you in like the forest, this is like kind of the middle of the night. There's like a crescent moon in the sky. The weather's pretty nice. It's almost like it's a little bit chilly almost, but it feels pretty nice outside. And if y'all like kind of like you're looking in the trees around you, just kind of gather yourselves, y'all see a variety of figures in the trees, kind of glancing out at various areas. Some of them are up in the trees, kind of like smallish figures with. They all look similar, but they have like different kind of shades of skin, and they're all kind of glancing out at you from various areas, like peeking over the edge of the trees into the brush. Some are in the trees, like I said, and yeah, they're all kind of just like observing you. They're humanoid. They look like small people. I mean, y'all could roll me a nature to like understand kind of what their makeup is. So that's
double threes.
Darian, being an elf, part elf yourself. You understand they look like elves, same Sirocco, but they have a different kind of shade to them that you maybe aren't familiar with based on that roll. But they look like elves, and same with you, Sirocco.
Okay.
But you said they're small, or?
I mean, they look. A lot of them look pretty small. You can't really see. None of them are like presenting their full forms before you, so you can just kind of see their heads peeking out in various locations in the woods.
For Smurfs. I guess Malice would kind of like put his hands up and say, "We mean you no harm. We're not quite sure how we got here," and just sort of like try to act as disarming as possible.
So you see, like, kind of as you're saying this greeting, you see kind of like, I guess, has anybody used Misty Step? Do y'all know what that looks like? Does Malice know that?
I don't think Malice would know what that was.
Okay.
Wait, what?
You see kind of like a misty poof in front of you, and there's a small little elfin girl or woman. You can't really tell based on her size, her appearance. I mean, she looks like she's young, and she appears like right before you. She has her hands behind her back. She's looking up at you. You're kind of like pretty tall humanoid. And she says, "Who are you?" She just appears right like within your personal space, poof. And then at the same time, you see a couple more like kind of emerging from the brush around you. All of y'all would see this, but he's like, "Who are you? My name's Riri."
Riri?
Yeah, and so she appears as an elf, but she's like her attire and her like skin hue, which you've seen elves before. You can clearly see this is an elf. Is like a deep orange. Both the clothes, attire she's wearing, and her face is.
Sorry, how tall did you say she was?
It's like shorter than 5'5".
She an Eladrin?
Roll me in nature, my guy.
Don't answer that question. She's a Guido.
I'm going to use the nature.
Malice knows for a fact that she is a Guido.
That she. What? She has amber eyes and orange skin. Her hair kind of has some flowers in it, or leaves rather.
Okay. I think Will knows what this is, but Malice definitely does not. Malice would just kind of like sort of slowly put his hand down and say, "My name's Malice. It's nice to meet you, Riri. I apologize for abruptly showing up on your lands here. We were chased by monsters and had no choice but to fall out of this waterfall here."
Monsters. And her eyes get wide, and then y'all would see kind of like stepping out into the forefront behind her a little bit, and maybe this would be in front of like Sirocco or Krunan, whoever's nearby. You would hear another voice, a male voice. This guy's wearing like leaf armor. He's wearing like, he has more of a greenish hue to his skin, and he would say, "Riri, get back. Who are these people? Like, just stop." And then he has his sword sheathed, but he does have a weapon. Riri does not appear to have a weapon on her. And then y'all would see some of the other elves come out. They all have like various weaponry, but none of it, all of it's sheathed. And they have like bows in their hands, but there's no arrow nocked, and they're all just kind of inspecting you. And you see Riri take a few steps back, and then this other figure kind of takes center stage. And he would say, "Who are you, and what are you doing here in our forest?"
As I said, my name is Malice Misty. We come here by means we don't fully understand yet. We were high up in this cave atop this waterfall, and our band was harried by a number of creatures within the cave. We even lost one of our party to them, and in an act of desperation, we jumped from the waterfall and arrived in your lands. Again, we mean you no harm. We certainly understand these are strange circumstances, but I'm not sure what else to tell you.
Yeah, you see Riri start to walk up, and she's like looking up at the waterfall that you kind of indicated. And she's like, "Ooh, you survived that?" And at the same time, the other individual has his like hand on his chin. He's like, "What kind of creatures?"
I can't remember if Malice knew what the Nothics were or not, but he would say there was a number of giant, large spiders and some other creatures that looked more aberration in nature. The majority of them were these spiny beasts with one large eye, seemed to attack in some form of psionic way. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're rather unpleasant.
At the mention of the spiders, you would see him kind of like get a blank stare, and he's like, "Oh, Anavis."
Yeah, Malice would actually perk up and say, "Oh wait, the largest one that attacked us and actually killed our friend washed down into this small pond. We may be able to. I don't know if that helps our story, but you may be able
would
to
see
find its carcass there."
Y'all could like kind of inspect the area to try to find it, but he would he kind of has a blank stare, and he's like, at the mention of the spiders, he would say, "Anavis, spider seers. Yes, they are quite troublesome here." He's like, "Did you encounter a Bactus? Was that his cavern?"
Bactus?
You know that's the name
Yeah,
of the
Bactus
Aboleth.
Okay.
We did. I'm sorry. Where are we exactly in the world right now? I know that's a strange question.
Oh, yes. You were in the Almor Forest, and my name is Duco. And he steps forth and extends his hand.
I shake it
His
immediately.
hair, yeah, he has like long green ears, his greenish skin. You kind of see a closer look at him. His hair almost looks like it's made of like tree bark, and he's wearing like greenish. His armor actually looks eerily similar to what Igalor wore. And he would extend his hand and say, "My name is Duco. You're in the Almor Forest," is what he says. And you hear Riri. She's still kind of like looking up at the waterfall, and like kind of like she's in the water at this point, kind of like looking up, inspecting y'all. And she's like, "Oh, it's a miracle. You survived. By the grace of my Liki. You were clearly meant to live. You should come with us." And she's
For the
kind of
grace of
like,
who?
my Liki. You could roll me a religion check
Sure.
to understand what that is.
Oh, Korean's on it.
Yeah, Krinan and Mouse, you both know Myliki is one of like the goodly gods of nature and like the forest, and a lot of elves are known, surface elves are known to worship Myliki. Its aspect is like a unicorn, which is one of the most rare natural creatures. So it's just like a mystical forest god. It's not. It would make sense that this elfin lady from the forest would be mentioning Myliki. She says, "You were clearly meant to live. Come with us. We've prepared a meal, and we're about to eat. If you wish to join us, you can." And you see Duco just kind of like nod, and he's like, "It looks like some of you are in a bad way. We could help with that. We're glad you survived those creatures. If you were opposing them." Speaking of like the spiders, he's like, "I would hate to see more death at the hands of those creatures than we already deal with on a daily basis. But you'll have to tell me about your conversation with the Bactus if you had one, because I'd want to know about that." But he would motion with Riri's already like running off, and he would motion y'all to follow him.
Yeah. Malice would respond like very gratefully. He'd be like, "Yes, that would be very much appreciated. I can't tell you how much hospitality is welcome. We've had a rough few days, and we'd be happy to discuss what's going on here. Maybe you can shed some light on that, because I assure you know more than we do."
And also, I guess it was Darian who knew of the general area y'all were in.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he says Almor Forest, you kind of connect some dots, and you know that is almost like a rumored location. That's not on the maps for a reason, and you know that like there's a forested area beneath like the Bashuk mountain range, but it's not marked on a lot of maps or named in this way because it's like a place where a lot of civilized persons and like people that would be making the maps, even in this era where most things have been tamed and civilized, haven't ventured to go and like name it. So you know of the Almor name, and you know generally where you are, so that like kind of lines up, but you don't know much more than that. I guess part of that rumor would be the forest is rumored to be peopled by not just any types of elves, but Eladrin. And based on what you know about
so
Eladrin,
are we like following them as we're?
It's up to y'all. I mean, Malice is saying yes, so.
Yeah, I guess I'd look back at you guys, but Malice is inclined to follow them.
Yeah.
Almost definitely.
Darian wants to kind of like whisper to the party as we're like following them. Kind of, I guess when I notice we're kind of out of earshot, I just want to ask someone like, "Do you think we should like mention Faye?" I'm not sure if we should say something because she might have something to do with where we ended up at.
I'd say let's wait and see how things go.
Sure.
Okay, so y'all are kind of led into this forested area that looks like this. Kind of as you're walking, you see like as you get deeper into the forest, it doesn't take long. You start to see homes like made their way into the forest and pretty elaborately structured within the trees, like so. And Riri is kind of skipping ahead, like singing a little sing-song tune. And Duco kind of walks right next to y'all and step, and he says, "This is our home. We are the Almor clan. Our ancestors have always resided here. If it isn't obvious, we are Eladrin elves, and we live up here in the trees." And he says, you know this is like the Bashuk mountain range, but he says the Focult mountains. And it kind of like following up with what you said, like, where are you in the world? He's like, you're still very much within the confines of the Outlands, although you might find this place rather unfamiliar and untamed, and we like to keep it that way. It can be quite unforgiving, like y'all already encountered with the Anavists. He keeps saying that. This is how that's spelled. And he mentioned that he said Spider Seer is like kind of its sub-name. He says, we try to steer clear of the often extending their reach roaming bands of mercenaries that no doubt y'all are familiar with, looking like men of the Outlands yourselves, as he kind of like eyes you over. Y'all are all dressed in battle gear, obviously. He's like, they often venture through these woods, going to and from Bashuk, the nearest large settlement, especially the dreaded orcs. And he kind of like says that with venom in his mouth. But we have made our way here peacefully for many years, and we like to keep it that way, as I mentioned. It's quite troublesome for most creatures to charge their way up these trees, and we have many friends here within nature. And he kind of like leads, at this point, he would lead you into like one of the forest houses, and him and Riri would both go into the same house.
Are they like inviting us to like follow them, or are they just kind of like dropping us off?
Yeah, and I guess he would say more specifically, if y'all could roll me like a history check to see where Bashuk is, but I mean, I'm guessing Malice would definitely know this for free just because he's from the area. Bashuk is an orcish like city that often in ancient times was at war with Wake. Wake was like the more cosmopolitan, open city, and Bashuk was peopled by like pretty vicious orcs. They're both considered within the Outlands. Fallholt's kind of in the distance and is more of like a trading town. And he would mention that kind of like you would either know this or he would kind of include this in his description. Bashuk and Wake both lie to the south of these mountains in this forest where they are. He said the Focult mountain range, but you would notice like kind of the Bashuk mountains. And they flank to the east for many miles. Fallholt lies far to the north. So y'all are pretty like days walk from Fallholt. Like y'all aren't really near Fallholt anymore. And then the wilderness of the Outlands lies to the west, kind of like as you get into more desert areas, y'all are more familiar with. So where y'all are in the world, I mean, y'all can pull up the world map if you want to see that more concretely. But if you didn't know that, he would kind of include that in his description of where y'all are, just to make that clear. Yeah. So Krunan and Darian, y'all would already know that. Malice already knows that. You would find yourself inside like kind of this it's not like a massive dwelling within the tree, but it's pretty like quaint and nice, and it has kind of like candles, and it's nighttime, but it's well lit, and everything looks pretty inviting. This is what you'd probably expect from elves that live in trees in the forest. And you see all throughout these forest dwellings, there's kind of man-made branches. They look like they have to be man-made because of the way trees don't grow like this, but it almost looks like the trees have grown like this. And there's kind of connecting pathways between all these trees. And you see various elves, like mini elves, as you saw, kind of peeking their heads out, similar looking elves, obviously walking along these pathways within these dwellings. It's pretty active, even though it looks like it's the middle of the night. And there's still like birds chirping and birds flying around. And yes, it's this massive treehouse community, and y'all enter one of the houses, and you would be offered some food by Riri, which looks nice. It's mostly plants and nuts for obvious reasons. And depending on what y'all's diets are, that's some healthy stuff. And kind of like as Riri's bringing all these foods out, and she's already eating herself also, and Duco would kind of be walking around the edge, putting away his like gear, like his Outland gear, as he's walking around. And Riri, as she's bringing you food, she's like, "Where do you come from? What brings you here? Falling out of waterfalls and whatnot."
Well, we come from many places. I am originally from this area, Fallholt. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It lies to the north of here, I believe.
Fallholt. Ooh. Yes, very familiar with it. Duco, hears that as well. He kind of like looks back for a second and then continues about his stuff, disarming himself.
Yeah, and we were actually in Fallholt before we came to be here. I have to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how we came to be here. we were following a thread, curious occurrences going on in Fallholt, and we're willed here. It may have been a Bactus, and Mouse looks at Duco when I say that, and that called us there because he did have quite a bit to say to us, as you've pointed out. Once he finished his story, we were harried by a number of creatures, and these Anubis, as you say, as well as some form of creature that they appeared to be fighting.
Yes. Anubis, y'all aren't familiar with the beasts, I assume. This is the first time encountering them. He kind of like shakes his head and he's like, they're spawned from the infernal plane. That's the core bit of knowledge that we know about them. And they are capable of feats of great destruction, especially in groups. And they spawn from the infernal plane, and they can send things to the infernal plane. That is something that, unfortunately, has accosted many of our fellow travelers out here. And yes, you're right. There are many abominations.
Has there been any record of someone being retrieved from the infernal plane after being sent there by one of the Anubis? That exact occurrence occurred with our fallen comrade. Perhaps he's not fallen. However, if he's in the infernal plane, he's likely to be so soon.
Yeah, again, maybe they didn't hear that like clearly earlier because you said like y'all had a fallen man, and as you say that, and they get the full picture of how he went, you see Duco and Riri, who are both listening. They both fall into like a silent prayer, and you can't really understand what they're saying. They're not speaking common, but they kind of do it in unison. And Duco takes a deep breath, and he's like, "I'm dreadfully sorry to hear that." As he gets like the full picture of what exactly happened, y'all lost a man, and the nature of it after he just described like what these creatures do. You see him and Riri kind of both in unison as they're listening to this fall into like a silent prayer. They close their eyes, and you can't really hear what they're saying. They're speaking not common anymore, presumably their native language. And you'd see Duco.
None of us understand that.
What's that?
None of us understand the language they're speaking.
Do any of y'all speak Elvish? I guess Darian would.
Yeah.
Let me see if I speak it.
So you can understand bits and pieces of what they're saying, but it's almost like a dialect that you are not familiar with. But you know it's like the core of this language is Elvish.
Okay.
But it's just like a quick prayer. They both close their eyes, and then Duco kind of like raises his eyes to you with grave look on his face, and he takes a deep breath. He's like, "I'm dreadfully sorry to hear what happened to one of your companions." And he pauses. To answer your question, I've never seen someone come back from where the Anubis send them. The infernal plane is perhaps the worst possible place. And you see Duco just like Riri stop eating. She's not smiling anymore, maybe for the first time since y'all been interacting with her. And he's just like, there's a number of abominations within those caverns. Not populating them across the board. We take ventures into the mountains quite often, and there's not Anubis infesting them. It's quite unfortunate that you encountered one at all. And as far as the eyed creatures, the Nothics, they're much more common, much less dangerous. And I'm glad y'all were able to make it out, needless to say. And I hope your friend's okay. And he's kind of just like shaking his head, and he goes back to like kind of disarming himself, and like, yeah, as y'all are like could be eating or doing whatever. Yeah. So what do y'all are? If y'all wanted to ask them anything or do anything else, y'all could in this time, obviously, because they're just kind of going about this little hut.
So Darian would ask Duco, like, have people tried to cross into this infernal plane, or like you were saying that people haven't succeeded? I mean, what have they tried? Are you familiar with?
It's certainly possible to go into the infernal plane. He would like return. It's like wizards can travel there, and sorcerers and magic users of all kinds, which we have. I am not myself not an arcane user, but yes, it's quite possible to go into the infernal plane, but it's very difficult to survive such a travel. Personally, I would maybe for Riri alone, I would never go into the infernal plane of my own volition.
Do you think it's a time-sensitive matter to where, I mean, because we just lost one of our party members, but we are pretty bruised and wounded, and
he like kind of like squints, and he looks like he's thinking about something. He heard what you said, but he's also thinking, and he's like, your companion, I'm sorry if this dredges up anything you don't want to be thinking about at this point, but do you know why it would have been him? And maybe I'm out of place saying that, but in our experience with these creatures, they are abnormally selective with who and how they go about choosing who to take into their plane. And you don't have to tell me anything if you don't want to. This is perhaps private, but just that is something to consider. And he's like continues thinking, and then he's just like, forget it. You mentioned Abactus, or I mentioned Abactus because I know he lives there, but you mentioned that you did speak with him. You confirmed that. Is that correct? He had something to say to you.
That's correct.
He's like, what did he have to say? He's a curious one. In all my years of studying such creatures, Abactus is rather singular, and we try not to go into his area. He lives within the mountains in a rather complex set of interconnected pools that he can access. But as I said, he's rather singular for an aboleth. If you didn't know that's what he is, and they are dreadful creatures. And Abactus is, as I said, an abnormal exception. If you don't mind me asking, what did he say to you?
He said many things. The primary, which was a tale that involved, it seemed like fabulistic nonsense, but it involved a god that gifted mortals a certain power that was, I guess, taken away. And he also said that there were forces that we couldn't comprehend that were directing us down some path. And it all happened relatively quickly, but he essentially said our fates were tied to forces we didn't understand. It was hard. We were thrown into a battle quickly, so I haven't had much time to think about it, but it didn't make a ton of sense now that I do.
Interesting. I've never heard such a story. What was the name of this god?
I believe it was Sire. However, I've never heard of such a god.
You see no recognition in his face as he says that, and he's like, Sire, I haven't heard of such a being. How can that be? And he's like thinking about it, and he's like, I'll have to make a note of that. But it's interesting. He's another being that is quite selective with who he speaks to. So if he was speaking to you in such a way, then it's certainly meaningful. But I'm sorry, I don't have much to add on what exactly he told you. And at this point, I think it's Malos that has and I guess Duko, or let's say Riri she's like, but y'all came from Fallhold, correct? And as she says that, Malice, you're holding the Stone of Sending, right?
Yeah.
You hear a voice within your pack or wherever the Stone of Sending is on your person, and it's a familiar voice, and it says, hello, Malice, Cronin, anyone? And it's the voice of Raphael. There's maybe some static. It's like, Malice, Cronin. He's hoarse and almost like whispering as you like kind of root through your pack to get the stone, and you can hear it more clearly.
Yeah. I take the stone out and I kind of warily look at the rest of my party, and I take it outside and I leave it like on the stairs, and then I walk back inside.
Oh shit!
You start to hear as you're taking it out, you hear, I don't know where y'all are or what your status is. I wasn't able to make it back to the rendezvous point with Faye. And maybe that's all you would hear, and then you just place it outside.
Yeah, I just place it outside.
Okay.
So should we not talk with Raphael? I mean, I don't know if he's...
Well, it's just so when I come back in, I just say I'm not sure about what you guys think, but I think we should at least discuss if we want to talk about discussing what's occurred with our employers yet. And
Yes.
I'd look at Duco and Riri and just apologize and say that was
Wrong number.
That was one. Sorry, I apologize. That was a sending stone that one of our employers that seems to have gotten us into this mess was trying to contact us. We will probably need to get back to him at some point, but I would prefer he not hear our conversation until we can get a better handle on what exactly is going on.
You can roll me an intelligence check. I don't think have you used the Stone of Sending before with like intention?
Yeah, I've had it for a while, and I've like used it. We've used it as like a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, I mean, you would understand
times.
that the Stone of Sending, like, you kind of have to, like, will your... It doesn't just pick up everything.
Oh, okay, so I have to, like, speak into it?
Yeah, it's, like, kind of something where it's, like, you don't have to be attuned to it, but you have some choice over how the messages get transferred.
But can everybody hear it?
Yeah, it was speaking out loud, what he was saying.
Okay, well, then I wouldn't take it out, but I'd just say I don't think we should respond to him just yet.
So, yeah, he would continue to talk as you place it outside. and Riri would say, as she like picks up where what she was saying before being interrupted, she's like, "Oh, something you might be interested in out of Fallhold," and she like looks to Duco, kind of like expectantly, and like you see Duco nod, and she's like, "My scouts and I on ranging, we saw a migration of sorts, you might say, refugees or individuals, a mass exodus out of Fallhold just today. They've been traveling day and night southeast all along the Almor, and they've made camp nearby within our forest. It's," and he like looks to Duco again. It's like, "It's important to know everything that's going on in Almor Forest at all times." Yeah, it's just she conveys that there's a movement out of Fallhold of a number of individuals that have been traveling day and night southeast along the Almor and have made camp within the forest nearby.
What did these individuals look like? Were they the townsfolk? Were they mercenaries? Or did it someone from the guild hall? Or did it look like the entire town was migrating?
She's like, "I don't know the population of Fallhold, but we would be alarmed at such a sight, such a large contingent of people within our forest, but they did not appear to be roaming marauders or mercenaries or all the types of people Duco tells us about and to be worried about. They carry with them women and children, and they are led with apparent purpose. And so far we have chosen not to bother them, and they have chosen not to bother us, but such a sight is strange. We understand Fallhold," and he looks at Duco again, "to be a goodly place and a relatively simple one, and we have never seen such a mass movement as this from there. And I don't know what to make of it, but I thought, since you mentioned that's where you were from, I would tell you." And like Duco, like he's like, "It's what she says is true. I don't know what this would mean to you, or if you were in Fallout in the last couple of days, you might understand why this would be happening. But it is happening, and they are nearby and are within our forest, and we're keeping a steady eye on them currently."
You said they're not hostile at all? They're just...
Said it's like a large.
Civilians.
It looks like mostly civilians. I mean, there's like men, women, and children, and yeah.
This is concerning. I am from there. I have little that ties me there now, but we were there. We had just the city had been attacked by a group of Red Scar mercenaries that were augmented in a strange way that we did battle with and defeated and rescued the leader of the town, and we had just brought him back. And there was a number of strange occurrences that occurred in the town. There was a man prophesizing some kind of doom, and it appeared that Magia was investigating some of the goings on. But
Magia,
there was no crisis when we were there, and it certainly hasn't been long enough to seem like such a mass exodus could have been organized that quickly.
It's like Magia was there. He's taking in everything you said. He's like, the leader. That's still Fallon, I presume.
That's correct.
He just kind of is thinking about what you said. It's like, well, there was an attack. Doom saying Magia's there. I don't really know what to make of that. You said you're from Fallhold. Do you know anybody? I mean, you said nothing tying you there now, and it's been years.
I knew Fallon when we were young men together. However, I spent much of my time in the central portion of the continent, so I hadn't been back to Fallhold in some time. The work that my colleagues and I had been doing for our employer had led us there, and that's why we were there, and we were investigating the strange happenings before we were teleported here. Now that I think about it, actually, but when we went to investigate a Red Scar guild hall, and when we arrived, everybody within had, mostly orcs, had been slaughtered. I'm no lover of orcs, but this was a guild hall in a town. It was certainly disturbing. It was filled with relatively armed mercenaries. So there's certainly something strange going on.
Yeah, Dooku has a look of concern on his face. Riri has like a look of horror on her face as she's hearing what you say about like people being slaughtered. She's like, no, Fallhold's a goodly place. This isn't supposed to happen there. And Dooku's like, this is far out of the realm of what I understand the happenings at a place like Fallhold to be. But I mean, that's something that Malice would understand as well.
Yeah, Fallhold's certainly not without its tragedies, but this appears to be something else. This has a degree of abnormality on it that to it that doesn't. Something's not driving here.
At this point, you could insight Duko as he like looks at you whenever you mention like tragedies, and he's kind of like eyeing you over. You understand that he's like looks young for an elf, but Eladrin can live, or elves in general can live for a long time. You're pretty certain he was definitely like alive and probably living here whenever the things happened in Fallholt. Whenever you were there.
Yep.
Yeah. So everybody, I mean, they wouldn't have much else to add at that point. They just Duko's trying to figure it out. Riri's more concerned, and you'd be able to tell that Riri, like, she looks pretty young. It almost looks like she's Duko's daughter, or just it's like Duko's older than Riri, and that's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm. I guess I turn to the group at this point. Do you guys have anything to add, or what do you think we should do? Should we contact Raphael? That a mass exodus from Fallholt just doesn't make any sense. We were just there.
I feel like we definitely need to respond to Raphael. I mean, we have been having a lot of trouble with Faye and her friends as well, but I don't know what we gain by ignoring them, because we're in an unfamiliar place, and I feel like we need to band together with what allies we have.
I'm not convinced she's an ally.
Well, do we consider Raphael an enemy?
Raphael is her number 2 command, so I'm not sure what to make of Raphael. I'm not saying outright that they're enemies. It was Faye that told us to go check out it was Faye that told us to go to the Red Scar Guild Hall, where we were sucked into this mess, and as a direct result of that, Aglor is in the Infernal Plane, and I'm uncomfortable currently with the circumstances. Faye may be telling the truth, and that she doesn't understand what's going on. She may have nothing to do with this, but she's a powerful mage, and I'm not entirely sure that we're not just pawns here.
What do you? Well, I was going to say as well, what if she has a chance of helping us get Aglor back? I mean, it could just be another ploy where she tells us that she thinks she can do it, and we just go along with it. But I feel like if there's any chance that she'd be able to help us get Aglor, I feel like that's something we absolutely need to do. As much as we distrust her, I feel like we kind of have to make a choice to try to get Aglor back, because I think we're all kind of at a loss of what we need to do.
I think we should, at very least, contact them and try to get some information. We can tread carefully if we want, but we're pretty.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, we don't necessarily have to we don't have to be fully honest with them, and we don't have to follow them to the ends of the earth, but we can at least contact them.
Yeah.
Sirocco?
Sirocco's distrustful of everyone and everything. I'm still trying to convince myself that it's not a good thing just to
walk the fuck away.
Yeah. And or just be violent against Faye, even though I know she'd probably fuck me.
I'm not about violence yet.
Malice is leaning towards that direction as well, but his anger is cooling in the presence of Duko and Riri. Okay, well, fine. Let's. Maybe it does make sense. We should discuss with them. And I guess I pull out the Stone of Stending, and I say, Raphael, what's going on? We have somewhat of a tale to tell you. However, we're not quite near Fallholt right now. We've heard that there's a mass exodus in the town. What's going on?
He would interrupt you as you're getting through that. He's like, I'm running out of time. I don't know where y'all are. And he kind of starts to hear what you're saying. He's like, listen to me. I didn't make it back.
Hold on, we're going through a tunnel. Give us 1 minute.
I didn't make it back. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, I wasn't able to make it back to the rendezvous point with Faye. He's like,
is he whispering, or is he yelling?
You can hear him whispering. He's like,
okay.
I got accosted in the forest. They laid a trap for me. They knew I was there. They caught me off guard.
Who did?
You won't believe this, but it was Fallon and his men. He's fleeing Fallholt with, it looks like the entire town. I don't know what he intends to do with me, but I've been captured. Luckily, I was able to hide this stone while they apprehended me. I might be able to escape on my own. I know we are east of the River Song, somewhere in a forest. We're heading north and east of Fallholt. We've traveled for a bit now, day and night. We're going along the main road. He's moving with purpose. I'm out of time. They're coming. Don't worry about me. And then it just cuts off.
All right. Well, I'm not worried about him, but I'm worried about what Fallon's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely concerned about all the civilians in Fallholt. All right. I'm not going to speak.
Go ahead.
East of the river. I would say I don't think we should speak through the Stone of Sending anymore. We don't want to compromise him.
Yeah, let's turn it off.
The Simpsons episode. He's wearing a wire.
Can we do a recon mission?
We should do something.
No.
I look at. Well, yeah. Go ahead, John.
No, I was gonna say we could. I mean, if Raphael is separate, not saying we should interrogate him per se, but this might be a chance for us to get a little bit more information if we like rescue him, and he's. I feel like he would be in our debt or in our like as a captive. I don't know. We'll see. But I also don't know if we should trust him. I mean, he could just be leading us on a goose chase, and so. Are we gonna say Malos?
I look at Duco and say, you said you were familiar with Fallon. I haven't. We were young men when we were growing up together, but I haven't seen the man in 25 years. Maybe it's 10 years. Something like 10 years.
It's like 10 to 15, I think, in my understanding.
Yeah. What do you know of the man? Because when he was captured, we rescued him, and the battle wasn't quite over, and we saw him use some potentially disturbing magic.
And you see Duco. I'm not the leader of our clan. I'm one of many. I don't know what the word it would be in common, but we all work together here, and it's my specific job is to kind of go out of my way and range in the surrounding settlements and cities, even Wake and Bashuk and Fallholt, these large cities which we try to go out of our way to stay away from, believe me. But I make it my business to know what is going on in these places, and yes, Fallholt's near enough within my purview, and I know of Fallon, and I know him to be a longtime mayor and leader of Fallholt, but believe me when I say I don't know much more than that. In all of my travels and in my scouting, my spying even, I haven't been able to learn much about the man, and that alone is disturbing. When you tell me that he is using disturbing magic, I don't know of that, but based on how he's been able to slip from my perception, it almost makes sense to a certain extent. So no, I don't know. I probably know Fallon as well as you do.
Well, it sounds like if what our colleague is saying is to be believed, that he is perhaps more than we thought. And
wait, did you have that call? So did Duco and Riri hear what Raphael said? Did y'all want that to happen? Or would you tell him after?
Yeah, I probably would have let him hear it. I don't know what you guys were thinking.
Yeah,
if you guys were preventing me from letting him hear it, I would have been fine with it. But
not at all.
Okay, it's like your colleague. So given that, you'd be like, your colleague's been captured by. What was he doing?
We can call him a colleague.
Actually, let's back up. Are you familiar with a ranger named Raphael?
Yes, he used to haunt these forests, more so north, Forest of Shadows, and over in Lightwood even. But he
say haunt or hunt.
Haunt, and he means that in the sense, you can roll me an insight on what that means, but he means that in the sense as like a ranger would haunt a forest, as in like he would make it his business to go around the forest and see what's happening there and hunt. But he would be like, yes, he's haunted these forests before, but he almost understood. I've never interacted with him personally, and the scouts have, but he kind of understood, and he stayed away after he realized we had the Almor Forest under control. We didn't need his protections. But yes, he's, from my understanding, from what I've heard secondhand, he's a ranger that is known in these lands and in the Outlands in general. I don't know what he's done recently. I know more of his exploits when he was younger, and he's a rather daring and arrogant fellow, but that's not uncommon for humans. That's what my scouts tell me, is he would attempt to hunt down and even do battle with more people than is probably intelligent. So when you say he got captured, that's actually one of the things I'm thinking of, is he probably slipped up, thought he could take on more than he could handle. And that's one thing, but the fact that Fallon and his men captured him, what was he doing? Why would they want to capture him?
Oh, we have any idea?
We I mean, unbeknownst, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to us. By all regards, they appeared to be good friends. They clasped arms when they found each other and appeared to have a history together. But we didn't know much more than that. Raphael's a person we've been working with, and he seemed to know Fallon well. Better than I. So I'm not sure what this man's intentions are, what he's doing. However, I am concerned for the citizens of Fallholt.
It's like Fallon is leading them. He looks at Riri and he's like, Riri, this looked like a migration, you said. Did it seem like these individuals were being held against their will in this travel? And Riri would be like, no, they they were all traveling together in unison, and I didn't see any other captured individuals. I'm sorry to hear that your friend was captured, but that's not something that I noticed. I feel bad now. If they're holding hostages, no, and like
no, it's certainly nothing you did. You could not have known. We appreciate that you could even give us that.
And Dooko's like, he's like really pensive looking at this point after hearing everything, and he's like, it seems like something is lining up with everything that's being said, kind of like stroking his chin. And he looks at you, Malos. It seems like on all accounts, I have no understanding of who Fallon is. You said him and Raphael were friends, but then he captures him? He's a simple politician, but you say he's using strange magics? It doesn't make sense.
Agreed.
And then Riri would kind of chime in. She's like been thinking as well. She's like, what the man said through the stone, his position, it lines up. It lines up with where I saw the camp.
About how far ahead would you say they were right now?
Far ahead meaning she's like far ahead.
Sorry. About how far away would you say they were from here? You saw them today?
Yes, they're about less than half a day's travel away. I saw them during the day. It seemed they'd been traveling nonstop for the last day or so. I don't know how long y'all have been away, but based on, and Dooko like chimes in, he's like, based on what you've told us, they would have left pretty soon after y'all were there and transported out here. And there's something Dooko would add here. He's like, you did mention you don't have no idea how you were transported out of Fallhold and into the mountain. There is something I should have mentioned earlier, perhaps, but it's rather news to us as well, and new information on our front. But we've noticed something within our forest, and again, we don't travel that far out of here, but there is a distinct increase in planar activity within the forest, and it's unexplained. And I'm thinking, I don't know what else to say other than that might be coincidence or not. It might have something to do with how you were transported. We have rangers out here that can go between the planes, so to speak, and they have been detecting portals at a much higher frequency than ever before within our forest. And the further we go out, it's kind of a common theme. So that is something I should have mentioned earlier, but perhaps not as important right now. And then,
what time of day is it?
it's like the middle of the night.
So, I mean, I know we should definitely go after them, but I guess I'm sure the party or their traveling group is probably stationary for the night. So maybe if we find a place to rest and like get up early, and we could try to maybe follow them or see what the party is up to. What do y'all think we should do?
I like that idea.
Agreed. We could travel faster than that large of a group of people.
Yeah, we can get up at the crack of dawn. And how far away is the? I guess I would ask Riri estimated time of like how far that location would be and where she saw them.
If we traveled with purpose, knowing exactly where we wanted to go, and she's like doing the math in her head, she's like, it would be about 6 hours.
Oh,
So it's not like right nearby. I mean, you know, the forest is pretty big, but she said it was like less than like half a day's travel, and like you don't understand their traveling tendencies, but that to her, that is.
I think we really need rest, though.
I agree with that. That we have to rest. We're in bad shape right now.
Dooko would make it clear, obviously, like as you're like getting fed and stuff, and it's the middle of the night. Like he's like, y'all feel free to rest here. He would have said that at the beginning. It would have been like before the conversation even started. He'd be like, y'all can rest within our homes. We have plenty of room, obviously.
we greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, that is very generous of you. I can't tell you how nice it is to see a generous face. It's been a rough week or so.
Okay, so y'all are gonna long rest and then wake up early.
Take a nappy nap.
Yeah.
All right.
Get my spell slots back.
So I would say your levels would take effect at this point, and you could like learn and prepare new spells from your level 4 level. And even Alex, I would say if you want to do a different subclass,
Yep.
what are you gonna do? If you don't mind me asking.
That's what I've been working on.
Way of the Open Palm, Ninja
Oh.
Guy. What other ones? You're Way of the Long Death already, and you're switching off of that, right?
Yes. I'm not 100% sure, but
That's not a big deal. I'd say you can pick one now
okay.
and just do a level 4 of it, and then if you change your mind,
There's some things that
every session Alex is a different subclass. Let's just get that motif going.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
switch
I mean, you
my
could do whatever you
spells,
want, and then it's not going to be like permanent or anything. It doesn't matter. So whenever y'all are ready to go, let me know. The long rest in.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'll hit long rest, but I'm good.
What is the range on message?
I need to pick
It's-
another cantrip.
It's as far as you can
120
see. I'm pretty sure. Message goes pretty far because it's like shooting a
Yeah.
whisper on the wind.
Yeah, it says 120 feet.
Oh, does it say a distance? Okay.
Yeah.
But it can go through anything. So if you
Yeah, I was
know
thinking
the
it'd be longer
relative
than-
distance of somebody, you can do it through walls and stuff.
Yeah, I was like looking at all the bard stuff, and it like almost made me want to make Malice like a pure bard, but that doesn't make sense, so I'm not doing it. But
Yeah, I want to like go like
Hey, man,
half
you can
fighter,
make
half
any choice you
paladin, but
want
there's
along the way.
so much cool shit.
no, but it makes sense for. I think I will make him a better bard at some point, but he's gonna be a fighter for a little bit. I desperately wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons yesterday, and nobody could play, so I was none of my like five
We
none of my
killed-
like 5 groups could play.
Yeah, we.
So I was
you
guys
went
kill
0 for
Strahd?
5. The Mexicans and bro.
yeah.
Yeah, we killed Strahd. It was wild. My character is a werewolf that he hasn't mastered his ability to transform. Like when I transform, I'm just like rolling wisdom saving throws to try to prevent myself from attacking anybody, that type of thing. And he had like my like love interest, like wife hostage, who was like one of the main NPCs we had met. Strahd did, and at the beginning of the fight, he like pulled back the curtain on like the window, and it was a full moon, and I immediately transformed and just eviscerated my wife. The DM just looked me in the eyes and was just like, roll wisdom saving throw, and I was like, I rolled like a 12, and he's just like, all right, you're gonna rush up to the only living person near you, because I was surrounded by like 3 vampires, like underlings, and I was like, wait, I can just attack one of them, they're closer, and he's like, psh, you don't want undead meat, you want the real thing, and I was like, oh fuck, and like I it was like. I like rolled 2 attacks, and I was like, okay, is she dead or is she like hanging on? Can somebody heal her? And he's like, buddy, you're eating her heart right now.
Oh
My God. It was fucking devastating. And then eventually I got out of it, and we were able to kill Strahd. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun though. Like our ranger went ham. He has the Sunblade, which is like a sword made of sunlight, and he just he dunked on Strahd repeatedly. He like rolled a bunch of really good attacks.
What levels were y'all for that?
We're all level 7.
Nice.
I got some lightning bolts in. I summoned demon. I learned summon greater demon without telling anybody, because one of our rangers is like a lawful good planar ranger that like would never let me do that. And I summoned a demon in front of him, and I was like, kill Strahd! And I had like 1 health. And like he was just like, hey, we're gonna fucking deal with this after. And like he was mad about it. It was fun.
I played a kind of one-shot campaign with some of my coworkers. It's kind of fun. There's a group of like our interns that have played before, but they haven't played a really long time.
I forgot what one-shot campaigns are like. That's all I knew how to do.
We
for a
actually
long time.
didn't get through all of it because they just screwed. I mean, like every D&D group, they just screwed around a lot.
Yeah.
So it was fun though. It was 3 girls and 1 guy, and that's kind of the first time I've played with like a large group of girls. It's kind of fun though, just to see like how they played.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how people like think. You can like learn a lot about someone just based on how they want to play their character.
We should do a one shot when I'm in Houston for Labor Day.
Yeah.
Be down for that.
Alex and Kyle, are you done with your character rolling?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
No.
Got some new spells.
Sweet.
All right. And Kyle, what's your subclass name? I would say, I mean, if you wanted to.
He's the Forge domain, I think.
Yeah, you're the Forge, but like I don't know how like convicted you were with that. If you wanted to switch yours as well, like if you had like learned more about like the different subclasses for cleric, you could pick whatever you want, obviously.
Okay. I'm happy with it now, but I'll look at it later. And see if I-
Yeah. Whenever you have more time, if you want to look at it, because I know like I didn't
That
probably
is,
do
like,
a good
the
job
most-
explaining cleric because you were a new player and I was just like, do whatever, D&D Beyond, figure it out. And I probably didn't do a good job explaining what all the subclasses are. So
No, it's chill.
The clerk also has like the most subclasses.
yeah, the cleric
that's
has a ton of shit. Like they're pretty interesting. So like, I mean, if you looked at all of them, you could probably maybe change your mind. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know much about the cleric subclasses. I haven't looked into it.
So are we fully healed now?
Yeah, so
Yep.
long rest means full heal, all spell slots back, charges on any weapons like that use charges. I don't know if y'all have that or not.
My pipes.
I think the
Bag of
the
tricks.
Wand of Secrets has charges, and
Yeah.
we haven't been using charges at all. Like you've probably like used it like 10 times in a day, and it should be destroyed, but it's not because it's different than most Wand of Secrets.
I've only used it like twice.
Well, I've like forcibly like said you're learning this because of the Wand of Secrets a bunch of times and didn't use charges for it because I didn't know it. I didn't even realize it had charges. But
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. Like that's an example of something you would get charges back for after a long rest.
Gotcha.
My Wand of Secrets requires me to roll a 1d3 expended charges, which is an impossible shape.
Oh yeah,
What?
1d3. What would that look like? I can't. My mind just broke. It's non-Euclidean.
It's because it's non-Euclidean.
It's non-Euclidean.
That's a two-dimensional object.
Just went to the void.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy.
Is that like a mistake? That's weird.
Actually, if Malice, if you're thinking about that as you fall asleep, you're gonna have some non-Euclidean dreams of the far right.
What the fuck?
Also, basic stuff about the Eladrin that y'all would probably know after interacting with them and seeing their attire and knowing myths about Eladrin is Eladrin elves are like closest in like bloodline to like the OG elves. So elves have like the blood of like a god in them, which makes them different from men and dwarves. Men and dwarves were kind of like created by gods, and elves are part god in a way. And Eladrin are kind of the closest to the source of that type of power. And the reason they appear different, you would assume Riri is like kind of like in her fall seasonal, and Dooku is in his summer. And they can appear as different seasons based on the seasons themselves or just like their emotional state.
It's freaking dope.
So that's why they look like that. And y'all, I mean, based on y'all's roles, I'm going to say y'all have never interacted with Eladrin, but you have heard of them in like stories and stuff. They're not common. And it kind of lines up that this forest wasn't on the map. All right, so if y'all are done with your long rest, y'all are waking up in the morning. Riri's already up cooking eggs. Dooko's he's just out like outside, just doing some yoga. They're eating nuts and fruit, and they're playing some Yanni. Yeah. So what do y'all want to do? Like y'all wanted to like get up at the crack of dawn. So what are y'all doing?
Yeah, we're up and at them, ready to chase these fools.
Eggs over easy, please. I wanna say as I'm getting out.
Riri's like, done! And she like throws the pan over her head immediately. Right as you say that, she had already cooked over easy eggs, and they're headed your way. Get a sleight of hand to see if you can get them.
Oh shit.
Yeah, these eggs like kind of splatter on your armor.
You got egg on your face.
Yeah, or maybe you're not wearing your armor yet, but they splatter on you, and you have to like gather them, and you get some of it.
Yeah.
But there's also some egg on your face. She's like,
damn it.
sorry. Dooko's like, oh,
All right.
damn it.
Thank you. I'll be right back.
Mouse thinks that's hilarious.
Dooku is speaking to a bird on his hand also, and he lets it out, and the sparrow just like kind of flies off. And if y'all were to look outside and look at kind of what y'all saw at night was this forest treehouse complex that I guess would inspire whatever feelings it is within your character. I don't know if you think that looks cool or not, but in the morning you would see kind of like it in its full glory, where there's like sunlight peeking through the trees. It's dawn, and dawn's peeking over the horizon, and there's like birds chirping, and the elves are all out, and they're speaking to each other, having breakfast, doing yoga, and just in general, this looks so much different than what y'all experienced in Wake when you were like among, a normal type city. This is unlike anything y'all have ever really experienced. I mean, I guess Agalor would probably be closer to this because he's maybe lived in the forest, but this is a whole different vibe, obviously. And I would say Mouse, you kind of like are looking out at this, and maybe it's a little bit bittersweet because of the events. Maybe this doesn't have quite the effect on you because you like the events of what's happened and Agalor being gone is kind of weighing on you, and you have your sword still on your person, his sword. It's like kind of like a memento. I mean, I don't know if you're planning on using it or not, but as you're like looking out at the scene, you have Agalor's sword. I'm gonna say you're inspired, perhaps for obvious reasons. So you can.
Well,
mark
for
that.
obvious reasons.
Malice is inspired with Agalor's sword as he's kind of looking out at this. I was saying, John, that y'all are waking up in like this forest complex that y'all saw at night. You kind of see it in its full glory in the morning with like birds chirping, and all these elves are out and about, like looking happy and peaceful. And it kind of looks like a majestic sight, and it just looks really dope. And Malice is looking at it and has Agalor's sword, and he's inspired.
Okay.
And so Dooku and Riri would both say like, okay, we can lead you there. As far as what we find and what we'll do, that will be up to y'all. And I can't say that and Dooku kind of thinks, he's like, we'll decide what to do perhaps just like y'all will once we get.
We appreciate your help in any way. We certainly do not expect you to go beyond. We don't even. I wouldn't even expect you to lead us there. So that in and of itself is much appreciated.
They're leading us there?
Your hospitality.
Yeah. Riri's like getting ready. Like she didn't even like
Okay.
ask, and she has
Yeah,
like her bow.
I didn't hear
She's
part of this
putting on
because I
her
went to the
gear,
bathroom, so.
and Dooko's like putting on his gear as well. He's like, well, as we said, if we travel for the better part of the day, I mean, I guess we're leaving this early in the morning. We'll get there by afternoon. Yeah, we can get going as soon as y'all are ready.
Mouse is good to go.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Darian takes his morning dump before he gets ready.
Tactical poop.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're kind of donning the gear that you would see in these images, and they kind of lead you out, leading the way. Riri's out running point, and she's kind of like far ahead of y'all, doing like scouting. You see her like kind of like among the trees, and Dooka's walking with y'all, and y'all could talk to him if you wanted. He would just kind of be silent, focused, thinking perhaps. And they both have bows and short swords. It looks like that's the weaponry they're bringing with them, which maybe you take note of. And yeah, so y'all can roll me a survival check as y'all make this journey. This is going to be like a 4 to 6 hour journey, depending on how well y'all can make the journey.
Woo!
Okay, so that collective survival check, I'd say y'all are pretty hardy at this point, along with them two, who are kind of like very, very naturally just, it appears, especially Riri, like she knows the forest like the back of her hand, almost like she's walking around in her own house, and y'all are venturing like hours and hours through it. So
I just want to say that me, Malice, or me, Darian, and Croonin look like Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, and like Gimli's kind of lagging behind, shouting about how he's a natural sprinter.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's canon. That's canon AF. So y'all are kind of make your way through, and you make good time. You head out to this area that Riri designated as the kind of the camp that this group from Fallholt was in, and it looks like the camp is starting to be like packed up. Y'all get there and y'all can see it from like a distance. You're not just like that close yet. Maybe like over a ridge, like goes down into like a smaller or lower area. You can clearly see the camp, and it's still there, and it's in the same area. And Riri kind of presents it. She's like, "This is where they are. I guess they're getting a late start this morning or this afternoon at this point." And yeah, so y'all see a camp with a bunch of tents and kind of what Riri already described to you. And like the general environment is made up of medium-sized trees all around it, and you see like kind of the camp is right near the main road, which you heard Raphael say is they're going by the main road. So that's like not that far off from where the camp has been set up. The general environment, this area that y'all are in, the pathways are rather clearly marked and well tread. The sight lines through the forest are clear. In this area of the forest, like Riri would even tell you, like it's pretty difficult to get lost here, and it makes sense why they'd make camp. So the woods aren't thick; they could be able to see any wild animals approaching. And she's like, "Well, there's not that many hostile animals in this forest in general." So that's part of the reason, also, like why y'all are able to make your way through. So people are milling about. It's like afternoon, the beginning of the afternoon, and like they're starting to pack up the camp. And y'all could roll me a perception check as you look upon the camp. And Duko and Riri are also looking upon it. Riri's kind of making a circle to the side to look around. Ooh. Rocco.
Yeah.
I get advantage on those perception checks. I forgot.
Oh, you have your allies?
I got my allies on. What do your allies see, Malice?
What do you, like, where did you get those? Was that the misadventure?
Yeah, it was me and Siraka's misadventure.
Yeah. Okay. So in general, you see kind of like the men packing up. You see the men and the women packing up the camp. The women are also like cooking food and stuff and like serving it to the children and the men who are like taking breaks. But it's pretty clear that they're packing up the camp to get moving. Some children play even around that aren't helping their fathers or mothers. Some of the men are speaking. And Malice is very clear, like these are like just citizens of Fallholt. They're not, I mean, there's some of the men look like they are wearing like leather armor and maybe are, fathers that are also mercenaries on the side or are capable of fighting. They're not just like, I mean, the Fallholt people to be like pretty hardy anyways. But yeah, these look like citizens. And based on the size of the camp, this isn't the entire town. of like the population, but it's a pretty sizable portion, like almost approaching like half the town maybe. And like you can't even see. I mean, some of the camp is like stretches back into the forest. You can't really see even its like full extent, but it's a large chunk of the population, it appears. And I would say Sirocco, I mean, I'd say pretty much everyone. Maybe Crunan's more focused on the general, but Sirocco and Malice especially, and Darien, like y'all key in on a group in the center. There's a group of scouts that maybe even Duco or Riri mentioned to you that y'all saw scouts on your way who were like kind of surveying the area. Y'all were able to like avoid them pretty easily. You see them returning, a couple of these scouts returning to a group in the center who are like kind of speaking, and like, it's almost like they're reporting back. You see them talking to like a prominent figure, and he directs them with words and motions, and they appear to listen. And it's pretty clear to y'all three that this is Fallon. You see him wearing his green cloak and cape, and his body thick with kind of like his armor you never saw because he wasn't dressed in that. But he has armor on, and he's like wearing a green cloak. He's commanding the scouts with his offhand as his right hand lies atop the hilt of a rather large sword on his hip, and he's like surrounded by people that he's talking to in various motions. And like, so y'all kind of like watching this, and like Duco points out Fallon. If y'all didn't see him before, he would point him out and be like, there he is. And you see him kind of meeting with various people, and then you see him kind of like go, the camp is along the main road, and the main road kind of like leads up and out and over into like a hill region that kind of like, and at this point y'all are in an area of the forest where it's close enough to the mountains, and maybe the elevation went up as y'all traveled this way, that there's like almost some like snowy region, like not that far, like a half-mile away within distance. And you see Fallon break away from the main group with a couple of individuals, and he asks them to follow, and he's kind of speaking with them after speaking with the scouts. And it looks like he's with a man and a woman who are also wearing like kind of regal attire, look like other leaders or nobles perhaps from the town. They come out of like one of the more prominent tents, and he leads them up and northeast up a slope in the forest towards like a clearing. And y'all could roll me any like other perception checks if you're looking for other specific things, obviously. But this is kind of, with those perception checks, this is the general what you see, and you see Fallon because he's kind of prominently featured, and he's leaving with a couple of people up this direction.
I want to roll to see if I see Raphael.
Yep, you could roll me another perception check as you look for that specifically. Yeah, you do not see Raphael. Neither do you, Malice. I mean, it looks like he said he was a prisoner.
Is there like an area where prisoners are being kept?
No,
like,
no, it's not. That's not something that's like.
no one tied up.
Where's
No.
yeah, someone in like either orange attire or black stripes.
Oh, I was like, is there like a cage, or like obviously people are tied up? Or...
Yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot of like tents, and some are bigger than others that could presumably hold, anything within. You'd have to get close to look within a tent, obviously, but you don't see any like clear like holding area for prisoners.
So I guess no one looks like they're in duress or anything, right? Like it seems like it's a voluntary thing that people are there.
Yeah, it's kind of lines up with what Riri said. It's like they're just look like they're going about their business, milling about, like doing their own things autonomously, setting up, or at this point, shutting down the camp and preparing to move on. And kids are playing. It looks like it's a rather low stakes environment.
So I guess I'm asking the party, was there anything that was happening in Fallholt when we were leaving?
What do you mean, anything that was happening?
Well, anything specific that would cause the party or the entire town or most of the town, for what we see, need to evacuate with Fallon?
I mean, it didn't seem like it, and it seems like Fallon is up to something, because why else would he capture and take Raphael under duress?
It's true. maybe Fallon's on our side. Maybe he's taking Raphael somewhere and it's justified, and I don't know.
That's entirely possible, but this doesn't make sense to me. This amount of civilians being out of town, for seemingly no reason.
Are there any outliers like that we can like? I don't know if we would necessarily like. Not like grab them, but just kind of be like, hey, what's going on? If we can,
I mean, y'all are still pretty far. Y'all could like tell me you get closer to do that, but at this point, you would see Duco is like seeing all the same things y'all are seeing, and he gets up and he motions for Riri to stay, and he's like, I'm gonna see where Fallon's going, and he starts to like circle around to like try to get an angle on going to see Fallon, because Fallon's like heading away from the camp.
So how far are we from them?
I would say you're like still like 90 plus feet away. Like you're far enough to where it's like you still have ways to go to get close enough to where you'd have to like do some stealths to put it into simple terms.
Okay.
Because you're like in the foliage and in the forest. It's pretty. I guess y'all. They're down in a clearing, so as you got closer, the forest would thin out and it'd be harder to approach without being like noticed, obviously. But where y'all are,
Yeah. Can I see what those scouts look like?
Yeah.
Do I have like
So
a good idea of them?
the scouts had like kind of like green cloaks on. They had like hoods, and they have like a simple bow on their back and some like walking sticks. And
And are they like are there like guards or anything on the outskirts of this group? Or is it look
not
like?
really. Like there's
Okay.
the scouts that just made their way back in to like look like they reported to Fallon, and then there's not a lot of like guards and like a perimeter set up by some of the individuals that do have weaponry on them. They're kind of just milling about and like helping set up camp as well, or put down camp.
Okay. I'm gonna turn to the group and I'm gonna say, what do you guys think of this? I can cast disguise self on myself and disguise myself as one of the scouts that appears to be late returning, so as not to arouse suspicion while we're walking up, and I can go and see what information I can glean from some of the civilians there, and then I can report back.
I like it. I don't think I'm very stealthy, so it'd be difficult for me by myself to get closer to try to eavesdrop or whatever. So I like that plan.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Well, I guess so. You want to try to eavesdrop, or you want to try to like ask people questions? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd probably would do both.
Okay.
I think what makes sense is I mean I know these people, I know how to interact with them, and I don't think I would arouse suspicion interacting with them.
Well, I think if you're
Especially
well,
those guys,
I guess you'd have to be careful with the questions because if you're asking like, "Hey guys, what are we doing here?" and you're kind of like in a
No, obviously, yeah. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, "Oh, what is Fallon out here doing?" No, I'm gonna try to. I think what I'm gonna try to do is say, "Have you all heard Fallon's most current orders on our destination?" And just see
I
if
like
they are able to clarify that to me. And then
I need some sort of
and then ask
warning
things like,
signal.
damn, we don't have both sending stones. I'm gonna toss the sending stone to Darian in case I can get to Raphael and we can communicate.
So should we not try to rescue you if something goes wrong? Like,
Probably not immediately.
okay, I guess based on what we're seeing, like how many guards does it look like, or soldiers or whatever,
Yeah,
hired
he said
hands
there
are in
wasn't
there?
many. He said there wasn't many.
Well, I think we could probably help you out, but I also don't want to slaughter people.
Well,
if
it's up to you guys. I
unnecessary.
mean, if you see something terrible happen to
Yeah.
me, if
Yeah,
they're
we'll-
like murdering me, come rescue. But if I'm just being taken prisoner, maybe it makes sense to follow and be covert about
Just
it.
to be clear, it looks like every like third like adult male, and even some of the women have like weaponry on them.
Okay, how about this? How about you come in as a guard, and you can be taking one of us prisoner, and then we could be able to infiltrate, find Raphael, and then you would also have backup.
That could work, but then that would potentially lead us straight to Fallon if any of the scouts notice that I have a prisoner, at which point they'd realize that I wasn't truly a scout, and we'd both be in hot shit.
All right,
I
Krinan,
think that's
Soraka, what do y'all think?
I think Mal should go alone. I think pulling a prisoner just draws too much attention to the situation.
That's fair. I just want to back up my boy in case he got in
Yeah.
trouble. But
I hear you. I throw a fist bump to.
if something goes awry, don't be worried. We'll charge in as soon as I see any sort of warning. But
Okay.
All right. So, Dylan, would there be any like ranger type guys that I was familiar with from Fall that I could masquerade as?
I mean, not specifically. I mean, you could disguise yourself as like a ranger and make it look good, but there's not a specific person that you would know.
Okay. All right. I cast disguise self and I make myself look like that, like what the scouts look like.
What the scouts look like. Okay.
Yeah. I'm still a human male, but I have long black hair.
Okay. So you're gonna walk in normal like into the front main area.
I'm gonna walk in. Well, not to the main area, but confidently, kind of to the outskirts. And I want to walk up to an area where it doesn't appear like people are alert and it's more civilians.
Okay. I would say roll me like a performance with advantage, just to like see how well you can just like handle walking in nonchalantly when you know you're disguised.
Pouring my shit.
And in disguise self, like would that allow you to have like a bow on your back, like an illusionary bow? I would say yes, but it would be up to you if you wanted that. Because
Yeah, I would
you
probably
saw
want
all the
that.
scouts had bows.
Yeah, I would probably want that. I also have I have a longbow.
You have a longbow?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, then you just have a longbow. Then.
I've just never used it, but I have a longbow on my back.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So you walk in, and it's in an area where it's kind of like more. I guess you wanted to be near more like women and children who are like packing up the camp, and not near like anybody with guards or what would be considered like a guard, somebody with weapons or right.
Okay. I guess I'd walk up to the nearest like non like armed looking family. Is there one of those around?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd walk up and just say, has Fallon made it clear where we're heading to now? I understand it's been a bit of a harrying journey, and we've been traveling what feels like day and night. Just want to make sure everybody's on their toes and knows what the plan is.
Roll me a persuasion.
So let me switch off advantage. Damn it!
So you say that, and this is a woman. She's kind of trying to corral her kids. Is like she had her kids maybe like working on like putting up one of the tents, and they started to like get into a game, and she's like trying to stop them, and like she's like laughing. Even you walk up to her and say that, and she turns and looks at you, and she squints, and she's like, "We're headed to where we always Forest of Shadows. We're headed to the place we always knew. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're fine. I don't." And she kind of like doesn't. It's almost like what you said didn't register. And she's like, "We need some help over here, so you could give us a hand with these tents." And she's
Of
back
course,
to
I'd
like,
be happy to.
okay. So what are you doing now?
So I agreed to help them. I said, yeah, certainly, I'd be happy to help.
Okay.
So I'm helping with them with whatever they're doing.
Okay. So you're able to help with that for a little bit. I would say, I guess, did you like let Duco know as he was like preparing to leave? Did you like tell him of your plan as well, or did you just kind of like?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought Duco was still there before I left.
Yeah, he was. So if he heard your like plan, he would acquiesce, and he makes it known to the rest of y'all and even to you as you're leaving. He's like that he wants to go and see about Fallon, but he's like I think we should travel together, but we can see what your friend is able to gather. So just be careful, Malos. That's what he would say to you as you left. And yeah, you're kind of like helping in this area, which is like off to the side. You're just like there's children around. You're like help setting up the tent. Yeah, so you're not like drawing any attention to yourself for sure. For
Okay.
now.
As I'm setting up the tent, I would say, so have you always been a follower here? Obviously it sounds like you've made the trip to the Forest of Shadows before, but were you one of sort of the original ones that Fallon brought along?
You're talking to the same woman?
Yeah. Well, I'm helping her.
Yeah. She like turns and looks at you like kind of like out of the corner of her eye, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm relatively new compared to the rest of you, but he's been training us well, and I think we're ready to join in, and I just want to be useful."
What is it that made you want to join in?
She looks at you again. She's like, "Fallon's always been a very powerful leader, and me and my family, me and Ahadine, we finally decided that we heard about it through everyone, through the channels, and we wanted to join in. And like I said, it's been a couple years now. It's not as experienced as y'all, but we're getting there, and I'll learn just the same." And she's like kind of nervous.
Well, it sounds like you're joining for the right reasons. So don't feel uncomfortable or bad that you're new. We all were there at one point. Would you care to demonstrate for me?
Roll me a persuasion.
Are we within earshot of this, or
No, it's pretty far. I mean, y'all are still like up.
we could still see it visibly?
Yeah, I would say y'all could see him interacting.
God, I'm rolling so badly right now.
I want to ask the party. So was setting up the tent the warning sign we were supposed to look out for? Did he say what we were supposed to, the kind of help sign? Was that it or no?
Sorry, what were you saying? I didn't.
He's asking the party something.
I'm asking the party.
I'm trying to think,
Everyone's
and I was
listening.
like, "What are you saying?" Okay.
I was just saying something dumb. It's okay.
So are y'all gonna? I was gonna respond to this. She, after you kind of say with that, she's like, she looks at you now, and she stops putting up the tent. She's like, "Here, right now? What? No." And you see her like looking behind you, kind of like around, and then she goes back to fiddling with the tent as y'all are like pretty much this tent's like wrapped up at this point.
Okay. I say, apologies. Maybe that was a little forthright of me. Perhaps I'll see you when we arrive. And I walk away.
Yeah, just as you turn around, you see someone approaching, It's a male. It's like a tall human, about as tall as you. And like he as you're saying that and your back is turned, you hear someone shout out. He says, "Sinette, what are you doing over here?" And as you turn around, he looks at you and he's like, and he has a look of confusion on his face. He's like, "Sorry, I thought you were Sinette. What are you doing over here with my wife?" And he kind of like looks back over your shoulder to her and like kind of has a concerned look on his face. And he's like, "Shouldn't you be out ranging or something? What are you doing over here?"
I've just returned. I apologize. I saw your wife was setting up a tent. I just provided some assistance. I was actually just leaving.
This is our camp. There's no reason to be over here helping us out. We can do this on our own. And he like kind of brushes past you
for my intrusion.
to help his wife. Kind of gives you a sidelong glance, and then yeah. So what are you doing?
I'm gonna kind of just skirt the camp a little bit. If I see another family, I might talk to them. But I'm mostly looking for maybe where they might be keeping Raphael.
Okay. You can roll me a perception. Yes, with advantage, infinity forever.
For that boy. Okay.
So you get a pretty good look at a lot of the tents. You're looking in tents maybe that you could feel like, or maybe like more furtive, or could hold people inside. And I mean, you don't see any sign of Raphael. And you see some of the tents are just getting taken down, and like it's pretty clear as they're getting taken down that no one was within them. And I mean, you would see a couple other like families, people taking down these tents that you could easily approach. I mean, that's something that's not uncommon as you're walking through all this. Yeah.
Okay. So with the 17, I didn't see him. I didn't see any sign of him.
No.
Okay. I'll approach another like innocent looking family.
Okay. So you're just like approaching, coming in their midst, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just kind of. I want to appear like as I'm just being conversational, and just saying, "Hey, how does do you need assistance with the pack up? We'll be moving out soon."
Just roll me a charisma check to see how you present yourself to this. Like it's just you're approaching somebody as they're like setting up their tent, so you just as you approach and say this.
God damn it, dude! What the fuck is wrong with Malice today?
So
this is like all my shit. Like I'm fucking good at charisma.
So this guy is like there's two kids, a wife, and like what looks like their dad. They're all working together to set this up. He's not like carrying any weapons, but I mean he's like it's another human. And he turns and looks over his shoulder at you, and he's like, "Don't you have some other work to be doing? We're trying to get out of here as quickly as possible. We need to get moving. We already have a late day, and Fallon wants us to keep moving." And he gets back to his work, and he's packing his shit in a bag.
I walk away.
Okay. He like eyes you as you like say that, and then just walk away. And he's like, that gives you like a what the hell is that? And then he goes back to his stuff.
I try to find another family, all while looking for Raphael.
Okay. So at this point, I would say like most of as this is going on, like the camp is getting cleared, and there's not a lot of like tents left to where you can just see like a lot of the stuff now, and you don't see any sign of Raphael. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 tents left that haven't been taken down. One of them's like larger than the other two. The other two look like it's just similar to the ones you've seen, like families. And you see like one of the large tents is the same one you saw regal, like noble looking people that walked out with Fallon up the slope walk out of, and you've seen some other people walk in and out of throughout like your time, and so is everybody else. But yeah, you don't see any sign of Raphael still.
Okay. And everybody's packed up at this point, and there's
for the most part, people are starting to like gather into groups, and like there's a couple of like caravans and stuff, obviously, that people are putting the stuff onto, and people are getting on and whatnot.
Okay. Do I recognize this regal dude?
I would say you can roll me a history check, like the people that Fallon's meeting with,
yeah,
or that walked away with. Yeah, you can roll me a history, or yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. This is the worst reconnaissance mission.
I knew we should have went with
you kind of know what you
one.
already knew. You don't know the names or details, but it's like this person was like some underling of Fallon. You would assume Fallon is like the political leader of the group, and he was wearing very clearly, but you don't know his name. He was wearing very clearly like nobleman's attire.
Okay, I am going to return to the group.
How are you gonna just walk out into the clearing, or how you doing that?
Yep, I'm just gonna walk out with a purpose out of the clearing into the like the forested area where we were watching.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so you don't seem to draw any attention as you make your way back to the group.
Okay, I'm not going to drop my disguise, but I am going to say, well, I learned a few things. The things I learned, they are going to somewhere in the Forest of Shadows. These people seem to be going willingly, and this appears to be a phenomenon that's been going on for at least a few years. And it seems to me like people are aware that Fallon is a powerful figure that is leading them to some form of something that I can't be sure. And when I asked them to demonstrate how someone was doing, they got very defensive.
They say like what it was called, like what they were going to do.
No, I couldn't get much out of them. They were all pretty suspicious to me. So we can continue to follow them, but I didn't catch any kind of sign of Raphael. I don't know if it makes sense to risk speaking to him through the stone of sending, but I caught no sign of him, and I walked. I was in their midst.
Yeah, do we still have our stone ascending off at this point? I don't remember if we like turned it back on.
Well, it's not like a turn off and on. It's just kind of like whenever
if
you
he
want
speaks
to
you,
use
we
it.
hear it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like hear everything we're saying.
Duco would mention, and he has Riri like running like some recon around. She's not nearby anymore. And Duco would mention, he's like, Fallon, it's interesting. He would like listen to what you're saying, and he'd be like, Fallon's still not back. What's our next move?
So the people are starting to depart now?
Yeah, I mean, there's still like a lot of the tents have been put up, and they're now loading the caravans, and some of the scouts have gone out again into the surrounding area.
Does it seem like the scouts, we could pick one of them off?
You could try. I mean, there's not that many. There's like probably like 3 or 4, and they're going in like a bunch of different directions. None of them are coming explicitly your way. They're like they're going. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're the closest one to you. You could try to like go around and pick off.
Might make sense. I could charm them.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Krunen?
I was gonna ask if we should try to contact Raphael again.
That might make sense.
If he is describing being moved or anything.
Let's do it.
But we have to be careful because we don't want him to get.
Yeah, let's definitely whisper when we talk to him.
Okay, so what are y'all saying or doing?
I guess I'd ask Darian for the stone of sending, or you can do it if you want. But I'd whisper, Raphael, are you with Fallon's group right now? We see we're tracking them right now, and we see they're departing. Are you with them? Can you hear us?
You hear nothing.
Shit.
Damn. Okay. Well, then I'm down to pick off a scout.
Let's do it.
So I would say there's one of the scouts that's kind of closer than the others that y'all could try to, let's say, just a general, I mean, depending on how y'all wanted to do it. It'd be depending on how y'all wanted to do it. That would determine the role to get there and try to find this person. Or try to, like, I guess, whether you're sneaking or running them down or whatever you're doing, it depends.
Sneak.
Let's see. So you can, Malice, you can charm person?
That's correct. Yes, I have ways of making people friendly towards us.
Okay. I can also command him to stop.
Yeah, that could be helpful.
So if we see someone on the end, we try to get them to stop, and hopefully they don't notice them stopping.
Yep, let's do it. That sounds good to me.
So what are you doing?
We'll try.
I think we're gonna try to like quickly intercept one of the scouts, like whatever the nearest scout is to us. But as we approach him, I think it makes sense to we approach like sneakily or like nonchalantly, and then Darian, you can tell him to stop. And then I can try to charm him.
Okay. So what's like the range on
60 feet on
command?
Command, yeah.
Okay. So I guess it's Darian and Malice going in, or is it all of y'all? Just y'all two?
Stealthy.
Yeah, probably stealthier with them too.
Okay.
Darian's
so
not very stealthy, but
roll me that collective stealth check, and
No, this is not great.
I would say, yeah, I'd say just roll it.
Ooh. Yeah, buddy.
Okay, so it's y'all three. Y'all are able to approach. It looks like undetected, and you're within 60 feet. The scouts kind of just like moving pretty easily through the forest. They're just kind of like making like a round, it looks like. So y'all would be able to they're not stopping moving. So you would be able to like track them for a little bit while doing this within 60 feet. And you can clearly see that this is a female scout. She has a green cloak on. a short bow, and she's just kind of making her rounds.
So do I need to command them as well, or how close do you need to be for
I need to
for
be
you to
30. I need to be within 30 feet for turn person.
Okay. So I can command them to approach, drop, flee, grovel, halt. Yeah, that's it.
Or if you want, I could just approach her because I'm still disguised.
Yeah,
And before
that might be better, and I can stand in the
Before she
back
got-
and give backup if something happens. But I
Yeah.
like that better.
Why don't you guys stay stealth, and then I can approach her before she gets too close to see that I'm not actually a scout because I bet she recognizes me. I'll charm person.
Okay, so that's a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah, DC's 13.
Okay.
I walk up and I say, wait, and then as I'm approaching, I charm person.
Okay. What is the DC?
13.
You see her become very alerted, and she hears your voice, and she turns, and like almost with like pretty solid like fighting ability speed that you would know, she turns your direction, and I mean she like pulls her bow out and she knocks an arrow, and she's not pointing directly at you. Because she didn't know exactly where you were, but then she sees you quickly enough, and she has her arrow pointed at you. And it looks like she's like kind of, there's like some tension in her body, and she's just like holding the arrow knocked at you as her hands are kind of, you could even, within 30 feet, you could tell she's like shaking.
Okay, I knowing my spell has failed, I put my finger out to my lips and I say, I saw something in the woods. Shh. And I kind of point out into the woods away from us.
Roll me a deception.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, you would see her, she looks at you a moment, and she's like, Sinette, where? And she doesn't approach you, she like turns her bow, looking around.
I put my finger to my lips and I like motion her to follow, and I'm gonna walk back towards Sirocco and Krunen, and Darian. Sorry.
Okay. You see her start to walk your direction, and then she stops, looking kind of in the direction of Sirocco and Darian. There's a moment where she's just like dead silent moving. She still has her arrow knocked, but her like bow's lowered, and she stops looking in the forest, and then she drops her bow and she darts.
Wait, she darts?
She runs away back towards the direction of the camp.
Yeah, so as soon as she starts to try to run, I'm going to command her to halt or grovel. Either one works, whatever. It's going to stop her.
Okay.
Wisdom 13.
Command.
Yeah. Actually, I'll do approach because it makes them move towards me, even though they can't see me, but I don't know.
Approach, drop, flee, grovel. What does directly harmful mean?
Well, she's not like aware there's any. I don't know.
You're not sure what she's aware of, but I mean, directly harmful is like, hey, jump into the pit of lava, or does it mean like, if I do this, I'm going to be in more danger than I was a second ago?
What do you see?
Yes,
directly
would be the point of command if it doesn't. What is directly harmful? I mean, I'm going to say this is fine. It'll roll, but I was just reading the spell to get an understanding of it, and it says it doesn't understand your language, or if your command is directly harmful to it, the spell has no effect.
Yeah, I mean, I think based on like a lot of this time, I think it's used in like combat, and like, I mean, yeah, if you told it like approach and it walked in like a pit of lava, sure, but like, I think if you're in a fight and you told it to approach, I mean, it's going to. I think anything you could tell it to do would be harmful. So I don't feel like that's kind of.
Yeah, that's the conclusion I was coming to as well. But so your final answer is approach. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You see her kind of like stop in her tracks. She gets like 20 feet away maybe. Just in that like moment where she starts to dash, and then you think to cast this, and you see her stop, and she like turns kind of woodenly, and she starts to approach you.
So are we within earshot of anyone else, as far as we know?
It's possible. I mean, you're not that far away from the camp.
As far as we know, I guess no.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of want to like, is Malice looking at us or no?
I'm definitely looking at her, and I'd probably be checking back towards you.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be like, try to like restrain her.
Okay, I'm gonna try to grapple her.
Okay. So she's just walking towards you to the shortest and most direct route, and that's like 40 feet away. So she's like walking, and then you're gonna go and tackle her.
Yep.
Okay. So roll me a grapple check.
What is that? Is that just strength?
Yep. I guess tie goes to the runner. So you're able to grapple her, and you tackle her, and you have her restrained, and she's just like staring at you with this fear in her eyes as she sees she's been tackled by someone. And yeah, that's it. You have like another split second to do something, but she's gonna try to resist you almost immediately.
Okay.
As he's doing this, we're also, or Darian's gonna approach to like help restrain her as well.
Okay. I say as you're approaching, you see her. You see her pull out a dagger, or start to try to pull out a dagger, and she tries to like strike you with it. But Malice, you're able to like hold her arm down, and she doesn't find purchase with that stab. So she's now being held down with a dagger in her hand.
Okay. I cast a message to Krunen and say, we restrained a scout. Get over here quickly with Duko and Riri.
Okay. I rush over.
And almost immediately after missing that dagger strike, she starts to scream.
I cover her mouth.
Roll me a sleight of hand. Do you get advantage on sleight of hand?
No. I don't know why. I thought I only clicked it once, so just use the 13.
Okay. So she's able to get out a pretty like solid second or two of screaming before you're able to cover her mouth, as you were like focused on defending the blade coming at you. So that kind of rings out among the forest. And I guess Duko would be nearby, and you would see, I mean, maybe he didn't like follow y'all all the way along. He was still keeping an eye on the camp. I don't know what y'all told him to do. But he kind of approaches with Riri, and they're like trying to sneak through, and like they both have their eyes wide as they see this happening. But you definitely, based on how far away y'all are, you know that scream probably is going to alert at least somebody.
I think we should bind her and gag her and take her away from here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm helping. Like, well, I think at this point I'm probably close enough. Well, like after they were like grappling on the ground to like help restrain her.
Yep. If y'all are going to try to do this like quickly, then both y'all, depending on what y'all are doing, roll sleight of hands to see how quickly y'all can like get this done before like anything happens. I mean, what are you doing? You're the one. You're just
I'm
restraining
mostly
her,
just
gagging
holding her. Yeah.
Okay.
I was mostly just holding her while the others were.
I think when I get there, I'm gonna be the one like I'll take control over the holding part and like trying to pick her up and drag her.
Why would you take care of the holding part?
Because I think I'm a lot bigger than you.
What's your strength? My strength is 17.
Mine's 16.
So I'm quite a bit stronger than you.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. So what are you doing, Darian?
Do I do sleight of hand as well, or
Yeah. If you're trying to restrain her or hold her down or whatever you're doing.
Okay.
Okay. So she's like shaking around. She maybe gets some more like not as loud sounds out. And I guess Sirocco and Krunen, what are y'all doing in this time?
I was like rushing towards this whole commotion. With,
I want to tell Malos. I'll whisper to Malos like it's not all about strength. Sometimes it's about speed.
Y'all hear like at least a couple of
I
shouts.
know.
2 to
I
3
agree with
people
that.
are
Which is why I'm
shouting.
holding her and you're sleight of handing.
I know. I'm just joking.
You hear people shouting in the direction of the camp. And it sounds like they're approaching.
we might have fucked up.
Yeah, I
And,
mean we're like pulling her back in the bushes.
Sirocco, Duko, and Riri approach you first, I guess, because you're like the furthest away from the action here. And Riri's like, really excited or excitable, and she's like, I found your friend. I found your friend. We have to move quickly. And Duko's like, it looks like there may not be too much time for this Raphael. Fallon and some of the others have him up the ridge near some stone circle, and it seemed pretty clear what was about to happen based on what Riri was saying. I think they're gonna kill him.
Jesus. Someone fucking knock this chick out. Let's get the fuck over there.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean I'll just like hit her in the back of the head.
Roll that
Non-lethally.
strength. Let's see if it's all about strength or something else. Okay. Yeah, so you're able to hit her pretty cleanly on the back of the head, and she appears to go unconscious, at least momentarily. She's restrained, so she didn't have really a way of defending herself, obviously.
Okay. All right. I drop her. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Where'd you see him, Riri?
She would be like, "Oh, follow me," but wait, I think they're coming now. And like Duko's like, we need to stay low. Let's try to get out of here without arising any more attention. And Riri would be pointing up to like the area, the direction that you saw Fallon go with the other two.
All right, let's motor. I'm running, following Riri.
So y'all are
trying to stay low as
sprinting,
Duko
not
said.
trying to be stealthy, or y'all are just stealthing but moving quickly? How do y'all want to play this?
If they're about to execute Raphael, I'm sprinting.
Yeah.
Running.
I agree.
Yeah, we should go.
Okay. So y'all can roll me some athletics checks. Just a collective one.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. So y'all are able to make pretty good time. Give me one moment. So y'all are running through, and you start to see like some of the other scouts and some of the maybe people with weaponry come over the edge of the clearing of the trees where y'all were maybe hiding before, and most of them are running towards the direction of like the sound they heard, which y'all have now like made your way away from. But at least a couple of them do see y'all running, and they point your direction and are like start to run your direction as well. But I mean, you had a head start, and you're pretty far back in the forest, and you're not heading their direction. You're running in the opposite direction. So, I mean, they're kind of like following you, but you're outpacing them. And you kind of head, Riri leads y'all. You head towards the direction of the pathway where you saw Fallon go. And I'm going to switch the map real quick. I could be exchanging some one-liners or quips in this time. Give me 1 second.
As we're sprinting.
I was joking.
I'm not a good quipper while I'm sprinting.
Yeah.
I'm normally good at the quips.
Okay.
Should we plug something for our podcast in this time?
Yeah, do some ads.
Hey guys, your best friend, your brother, and your sister's mother.
Hey guys, this is your top chef, the guy that makes your food. I make this up every time. Okay. Yeah. A little more preparation than.
As we're running on, it's State of Malos. Like, that was a lot of shit we had to do to get that person restrained. And we had to use spells on that too. But that's okay. Good thing we got him.
And he's like, I'm out of spell slots.
Alright, switching y'all over. So, as I said, they went up like a pathway, like a slope leading up that like kind of curved up the. It goes off of the main trail. And like I said, this is kind of a colder region. The air is a little bit more crisp. Maybe you raised an elevation as you made your way over here. And there's like snow on the ground amongst the trees. I mean, it's like fall type. There's still leaves on the trees. Color's starting to shift. There's some like dry snow. It's, I guess, late afternoon at this point. Y'all are able to outpace the people chasing you. Kind of like, I mean, you lose them for the moment in the forest as you make your way this way. But you know at least like 2 guys were still following, like a scout and a guy with like a normal looking like dad or something, but he had a sword. So I'm gonna switch y'all over here. So y'all can adjust your health and all that. I just copied your tokens from where y'all were before. And like I said, Riri's leading the way. Y'all chase your way up. And this is like the pathway you saw him taking up, and it goes a little bit further as across a bridge, which is like a semi-frozen stream. And then you come upon what Riri was describing. I'll just move everybody up here immediately. I'm moving everybody as a unit. So y'all come up here, and you see 3 people encircling someone who is tied down. I mean, y'all don't have to run all the way up like this. You get stealth up, but this is what you see as you approach. Y'all don't have to be that close, like I said. But so you see the 2 noblemen, and this is very clearly Fallon. I don't know if y'all can see his name, and what looks like Raphael in the middle. And Fallon, I guess, as y'all approach and you see this scene, the 2 noble people have kind of like these long stabs with looks like blades on the end, and then you see Fallon start to draw his long sword, which you would see this. So that's what you see. And this is just like up a slope, and it's like there's these stone circles around like this pedestal in the center, and all 3 of them are facing Raphael, who's shirtless and tied down upon this stone.
Can I do a religion check to see like if it's some sort of like cult sacrifice that's about to happen, or if it's for some other reason?
Yeah, you can roll a religion check. I mean, this has the trappings of some kind of ritual sacrifice type thing. Y'all traveled maybe like under a half mile to get to this. Y'all are just like sprinting flat out, and it's just like, yeah, this stone outcropping that's off in like a clearing near like the edge of like a cliff maybe behind you, and there's like the edge of like some mountains or larger hills aren't far behind. So this is like the end of where the forest is starting to meet the rocky cliffs and mountains of the Bashuk area. The Bashuk Mountains or Focalt Mountains, depending on who he's talking. But, I mean, you don't know the specifics of what this ritual would be.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm guessing, how did y'all want to approach? Are you going to, like, stop and approach more furtively, or are you just going to run directly into this area?
I think Alex needs to go. Does it make sense to hold here? Or?
Yeah, we can. I will... I'll tee up, like, I mean, the reason I was saying, like, how y'all approach is because, like, are y'all going to observe for, like, a second? Like, Fallon doesn't have his sword out, and he's about to like hit Raphael, but something's about to happen. So I want to see if y'all are gonna I mean, actually, regardless of what happens, regardless of how y'all approach, this is what you see, and this is how we'll close out until next session. So they're all, I guess, kind of closer like that next to each other, and they're all looking at Raphael on the stone before them, and you see Fallon draw his blade, and he steps up on the stone with Raphael. Raphael is, I guess, his head is like closest to where Fallon's stepping up, so Raphael's kind of like turned around back up, and he doesn't appear to be conscious depending on how far away y'all are. I mean, he's not moving or struggling or anything. Fallon steps up, he draws his sword, and he's like holding it before him, kind of like in a regal stature. He has a green cloak on, and his cape's kind of like billowing as y'all are. It's the higher elevations. There's some like cold wind blowing behind him, and you see both of the, I would say Malice, you maybe clearly see this as you're like leading the charge, and Duco and Riri would see it as well, and Malice with your like special perception goggles. You see both of the noble people, it's a man and a woman, they glance at each other as Fallon steps up, and they like both like kind of imperceptibly nod at one another, and then they both direct their attention from Raphael to Fallon, and they both have like these long sticks that look like they're bladed on the end, kind of like a spear, and they both in like a unison motion, as if like it's orchestrated. They both turn to like ram their spears into the back of Fallon because he's standing above them and they're angling it at his back. And you see Fallon in a flash. He turns and parries both of them with one whoosh of his blade, his longsword. And in the same motion, he slices the woman across what looks like the face. And then and while he did that, the other nobleman stabs his spear again. Fallon catches the spear through his hand, grabs it, breaks it, and drives the sword through this guy's throat because he's standing above him. So he does it like at his waist.
Jesus.
And he like breaks the spear off in his hand, stabs this guy in the throat, and like gets down from the pedestal while his hand is like holding the end of the spear, and he's looking this guy in the eye. And then he just like brings the sword down, and like this guy goes to his knees as his like head is basically falling apart at this point. And he just flashes his sword back, and the guy's head topples off. And then he takes the time to carefully remove the end of the spear from his hand and drops it. And immediately you see his hand, like he raises it above the two bodies that are now at his sides. And it looks like blood starts to spiral out of their bodies and towards him. And you see this blood begin to envelop Fallon as he closes his fist and like clutches his sword, and it's kind of like spiraling all about his body as this bloody mist seems to like disappear and evaporate over time around him. And then he turns and faces forward again at the pedestal near where Raphael is. And Malos, you can clearly see, I mean, like, what are you, middle-aged? You're like 40-something, and you grew up with
I'm like
Fallon?
45.
I mean, Fallon, when y'all last saw him, looked like he was middle-aged as well, obviously. He's like around the same age as Malos. He turns to face the group again, or like y'all's direction. I mean, I don't know how we can resolve how well he's going to notice y'all later. And y'all see show two players. It's Fallon! That's who y'all see. And he's young. He looks like he's back in his prime, baby. And that's what will lead the cliffhanger.
What the hell?
Damn it. Want to fight Fallon.
Next time.
4 months from now.
I wasn't going to say it. We'll get it to work out.
All right. Until next time.
Literally.
Yeah.
GG's,
See you guys.